Mic check 1 2, mic check 1 2, mic check 1 2. Hopefully you can hear me. Let me know in the stream chat if you can hear me loud and clear. Mic check 1 2. Computer's been a little bit buggy today. Hopefully. Hello, 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 hello. Hello, hello. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Let me know if you can hear me. Let me know if you can hear me. Let me know if you can hear me. Hello, 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 hello. Hello. Let me know if you can hear me. Let me know if you can hear me. Mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2. Let me just up this volume a little bit on here. Okay, cool. There we go. Hopefully that should be okay. Hopefully that should be okay. Okie dokie. Welcome back to another episode of the Exynos English, episode number 982. It should be episode number 982. Hopefully it's number 982. Please forgive me for any Please forgive me for any microphone issues, for any background sounds, for any grunts and noises and right? If I make any noises, if I make any grunts, if I sound like I'm in pain, please forgive me, because I had a bit of an accident over this past weekend, which is affecting my mobility somewhat. But we are doing what we can with what we have available. So please forgive any of the background grunt, any of the background noises. But this is the Exynos English, episode number 982. Although it doesn't look like it, this is the #1 cultural commentary podcast in the world. I know it doesn't look like it right now, it doesn't sound like it, but I guarantee you this is the #1 cultural commentary pod in the flipping world. There are no imitations, except no substitutes, except no seconds. This is the only one that matters. I hope you are here to enjoy some of the stuff I have to provide. And for those of you wondering what the hell happened, just to give you a short synopsis, I need to figure out how to, #1, maintain my bike better. I think that's the #1 thing I need to do. And #2, I also need to figure out how to ride a fixie better too. I think my fixie riding skills are not where they need to be. If anybody knows riding a fixie, you need to be 100% concentrated, and I wasn't, and that is what led to my injury. So as much as I want to wallow in self-pity, the truth is I was to blame for it. I should have been more aware. I should have had my flipping head in a swivel, but I had a million and one things on my mind, so I didn't, and I paid the ultimate price. What happened? So essentially, a couple of days ago, maybe a week ago, a couple of days ago, actually, before the accident, I did end up back, when you're on a fixie, sometimes I don't have to describe it, but sometimes if you're on a fixie, you have to sometimes tighten it from time to time. You have to tighten all the components just to make sure everything's where it is, because if you're skidding and braking, you're kind of little by little, the way you're stopping, you're pausing, you're kind of bringing a little bit of wear and tear onto some of your components. So you always have to kind of, I think so anyway. I'm not sure if this is true. Maybe I got a cheap one, but I think in general, you have to keep on top of your maintenance for your fixing. Just make sure everything is aligned, the tires aren't bent, the chain's where it needs to be, it's oiled, the pedals, with a single speed bike, I think you can get away with more, or with a mountain bike, you can get away with it being a little bit more on the booky side, on the fucking calam side. But with a fixie, you have to be really on it. If you're not on it, you're gonna run into issues. So what, essentially, one time I remember my handlebars were a bit loose, and I was kind of trying to stop, and I kind of nearly fell. That's the whole thing. So in general, I was riding somewhere, I jumped off a curb, the chain kind of jumped, and it kind of locked my pedals. Luckily, I noticed it. So when I jumped off a curb one time, the chain jumped, and it kind of, locked my fucking pedals. And then I had to kind of, get the chain unlocked and kind of bring it back again. But that kind of loosened the chain. And then I think I had to kind of, not loosen the chain, but I basically had to tighten everything up. I didn't tighten it. So then the following day, or a couple of days later, I was going away to the gym, and I had to go to do a bit of grocery shopping. And the shop was going to close at like 10 or something. So I thought, you know what? Let me go quickly now to the grocery shop and get my stuff before I go head over to the gym. Obviously I only had 15 minutes to do it, so I was jetting over there. I was spinning as I usually do. I was pedaling super fast, and as I was pedaling super fast, the chain jumped again. But this time I paid the ultimate price because I listened to music as well. I think I might have had the new 21 Savage album, and I don't know what I had on, and the fucking pedals locked. And then when the pedals locked, my feet were in the straps. So the pedal locked, my feet are in the fucking pedal straps, and I went flying over the handlebars. I don't think I've fallen that hard on a bike before. This might be my worst fall. I went, because I was going so fast, I went flying over the handlebars, literally did a somersault over the handlebars. The bike came underneath me kind of thing, like a backflip, sort like a front flip. And then the weirdest thing happened, I could totally feel my head. I felt my head like hit the ground first. So as I was jumping over, my head hit the ground first. I sort of slid. My head hit the ground, then the side of my ear hit the ground, and I kind of slid across the side of my head. Then I was about to fall on my face. My instincts kicked in, and I just kind of put my arms up to kind of take the, take the damage, take the fucking weight of the fall. So all my weight, or most of my weight, landed on my elbow and my arm. So right now, if I'm speaking to you, my left arm is like gone. I feel like fucking T-Row from Back on Fig. Big up T-Row. My left arm is completely gone. I can't fucking move it correctly. It's really sore. If this persists tomorrow, I'll probably end up going to hospital and getting it checked out, because it's not really improving that much. And I'm struggling to, just do general things around the house and stuff. It's really fucking me over. And obviously I can't go to the gym. So if it doesn't improve tomorrow, I'll probably end up going to the fucking hospital, because I can't even shower properly. Do you know what I mean? I can't even, like, putting on this outfit took a lot. The reason why this hat is the way it is because I couldn't really put it on any other way, so I'm really struggling to kind of do the general everyday things. So I kind of have to get that fixed before I run into some issues where I really fucked off my elbow. So I'm assuming nothing's broken, or nothing's fractured, because if it was, I wouldn't be able to move it. I'm assuming nothing's fractured or broken, but I can't lie, I've been having a lot of painkillers and shit. My head's been spinning. I haven't been able to sleep that well. And my arm is really sore, and I think my hand is also a bit inflamed. So I think all the weight went on my fucking wrist, my forearm, and my elbow. So it's really got fucked up. Obviously, again, my fault completely, because I was going too fast and I didn't fucking fix my chain, I didn't fix my wheel, and my pedal locked up and all this sort of malarkey. But the really funny thing about it was, I think that fall was an analogy to life. I think that fall was an analogy to life. And I don't know if I'm getting more black pilled or more nihilistic or just more realistic in general. I'm usually quite an optimistic dude in general, where I'm usually kind of a half glass full type of guy instead of half glass empty. But I think the older you get, the more you start to realize what the real is, isn't it? And I think when I fell over where I fell over, I was right in front of a very popular, busy pub. I was on the main street. There was tons of people walking on either side. And legit, nobody came over to check on me. Not one. Don't get me wrong, I was expecting it, but it was a real wake up call. I was like, shit. And again, this fall was legit. Like, I went flying off my handlebars. I'm not even joking. I'm pedaling fast. I'm pretty rapid on the old pedal bike anyway. I mean, I'm not a slow guy. Fast twitch muscles are on go. Tendons are on go. Thighs, got thighs for days. You already know my back off is like one of the best out there. So I'm pedaling. I was going fast, and I flew over those handlebars. I slammed my head on the floor. I slammed my head on the floor. I felt it. The side of my head scratched along the floor. I kind of did that. That breakdancing move where you're doing breakdancing, where they kind of put their head on the floor and they slide. You know what I'm doing, man? Where they kind of do a handstand on their head. That's what I kind of did. I did like the handstand on my head. I slid across the floor, my arm on the fucking thing. My bike flipped over. Loads of noise. It wasn't a quiet thing, right? And at that time too, I was wearing sunglasses, right? I was wearing my sunglasses at night. And my sunglasses, one of the lenses came off. Like, one of the lenses on the right side. So I had like one lens. I was lensless on one eye, right? And so I looked disheveled. Not one person came over and said anything. And I thought to myself, this is an analogy of life. This really is an analogy of life. Like, legit, this is an analogy of life. Like, nobody, and I repeat, nobody is going to come and save you. Absolutely no one. You know what I mean? Nobody. And I had to like sit there. I was kind of dizzy. I kind of like had a bit of a dizzy thing going on. Then I quickly kind of jumped up, and I was kind of like just trying to gather my thoughts, because I didn't want to stand up and start fucking stumbling, right? That's not Gucci. That's not what real men do, right? Real men don't stumble. Real men don't look disoriented. I didn't want to have like chicken legs on there. So I had to kind of cover myself. I took a knee. I put my fucking hand in my head, and I just started breathing, even though it was fucking super painful. I was breathing as much as I could, breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out, and I stood up. As I stood up, right, this Asian guy walked past me, and I swear that this is British heritage, right? This is British heritage, right? This Indian Pakistani guy walked past me, and legit, as soon as I looked up at him, he looked away from me. He kind of looked up at the sky. As soon as I looked at this Indian Pakistani guy, as soon as I looked at him, he immediately looked up at the sky, and it was night. There was nothing there. He's like whistling, looking at the sky. I was like, rotted. In the UK, people really mind their business, bro. We really mind our business. No one gives a fuck. Like I was literally spread out across the street. My phone was on one place. My fucking luckily my headphones are still on my head. Oh, actually about my headphones, I could tell I slid. So when I took off my headphones, because I usually wear my headphones underneath my hat, I'm one of those weirdos, right? I put my noise cancelling headphones underneath my hat, so my headphones never fell off. But you could tell on the side of my headphones, the left ear, I scraped my head because one of the left ears is completely scraped up. So I definitely like slid on the floor, you know? Yeah, nobody came and helped, man. I've dropped right in front of a busy pub, people walking by me left and right. No one person came and said, "You all right?" Not even a person from the other side of the street. "Are you all right, mate?" No one, nobody. I was like, rah, Ted. And I was shooken up, like shooken up and shit. So yeah, somehow though, I still managed to go to the gym for some. I think that was just the adrenaline and maybe the shame. I think the shame of falling over that way. I didn't want to go back home, so I just wanted to like continue my day and, you know, persevere. So I still went to the gym. I obviously couldn't lift a weight, so I just went on the treadmill for an hour and just started walking and doing some running, you know, sprints on the treadmill for an hour with my arms, which kind of goes to show you what adrenaline can do. Adrenaline can really kind of push you through, because I had no business going to the gym straight away. I went to the gym straight away, came back home, and then obviously when I came back home, my shit was inflamed. I could barely move it. I was in proper pain, crying. You know, inside, obviously, not crying outside, because real men don't cry. And yeah, man, just another one of those L's, isn't it? Another one of those L's that has completely, you know, derailed my week, essentially. Kind of threw me out of the loop of my routine, which, you know, things I don't really like. But hey, I kind of guess what it is. But if ever you need an analogy, that number one, no one's going to come and save you. That's it. Get into a bike crash in the UK and you'll figure out that no one's coming to save you, because a lot of people don't like bicyclists anyway in the UK. Maybe it's the same in most metropolitan flipping cities around the world, but bicyclists don't really have the best reputation here. Everyone kind of, you know, looks down on you a little bit, gets pissed off when you're on the road. But yeah, man, learn my lesson. Number one, like I said, make sure I do maintenance on my bike when it needs to be done. So that chain thing, if I would have fixed it on the day it happened, I wouldn't have this issue. And of course, number two, just be better on the fixie, because a fixie, you can't like, you have to always have with a fixie, you kind of always have to be like Iniesta. Remember prime Iniesta, prime Xavier Barca, you have to always be checking your shoulders with a fixie. You can't be not on it. And now I understand, because I remember a bunch of people back in the day would be on fixies and not wear headphones. That was a big thing back in the fixie scene, people not wearing headphones. Now I get it, because if you're not wearing, I'm wearing noise cancelling headphones, you can't hear shit. But if you've got no headphones, you can probably hear the chain, you can hear your bike making noises, so you can feel your bike going a bit crazy and make the adjustments. I didn't make those adjustments, and obviously I paid the biggest price, and now my arm is fucked. And I'm hoping it's nothing crazy and I haven't fucked it up permanently. I'm hoping that's not the case. Hoping it's just like a little temporary thing. But you know, arms and joints and shit, when you fuck them up, sometimes it takes ages to get back to full working order. I just wanted to get back to order so I can just go back to the gym again, because I fucking missed out on a few days of working out, which is really you know, doing my head in at the moment. But yeah, that's what happened, man. That's what happened. So I've been MIA from there, dealing with that, taking a bunch of painkillers, trying not to fucking shiver, trying not to, you know, throw myself out the nearest window. And here I am, ready to pod, ready to stream, ready to pod, ready to fucking stream. Pick up everybody tuning in. Big up Johnny Sneed in the stream chat too. You already got a job, the hell was frozen over. Brother, you always mention these things. Give me a link, man. Send me a link. Big up Johnny Sneed in the stream chat. You already got a job, hell is freezing over. Send me a link and send me timestamps. Tell me a link. What stream should I check out and what's the timestamp? I hear people saying this all the time, but they don't provide fucking details. Send me the timestamp, brother, and I'll react to that on a random show later. Send me the timestamp and I'll react to that on the random show later. But pick up everyone in the stream chat. I see you. Pick up Kato Motivate Young God Vibes. Pick up Jazinga Smollett is fucking crazy. Yeah, I don't. Yeah. You know, I was thinking about actually Zinga Smollett. Did you guys watch or listen to the interview Justice Smollett did with Cam Newton the other day? Well, not the other day, a few weeks ago. Justice Smollett sat down with Cam Newton, and I watched a bit of it. No, sorry, I saw some clips. I didn't watch a lot of it. I saw some clips online, and when I saw the clips, I was thinking to myself, you know what? He's a very charismatic dude, you know. I forgot how charismatic and generally funny Justice Smollett is, and it made me think that's what makes for a great liar, isn't it? That's how great liars are created. Being very charismatic, very charming, great sense of humor. Like, he was bantering with Cam Newton really fucking well. Like, it was a really good interview. Aside from him, obviously, Cam Newton asks about the whole, robbery abduction thing that he said about the guys coming after him and calling him, I don't know, gay slurs and Trump this and I'm the gay, I don't know, all that, that whole lie, right? When there's obviously those two, by the way, that's one of the best lies ever, right? You say these two white supremacists, right? These two MAGA white supremacists came and jumped you outside of a subway in the middle of Chicago in a freezing winter. And then you find out that it's these two super dark skinned Nigerian dudes, one of which Justice Smollett was kind of messing with. You know what I mean? It's like, that is such a great lie. It's not even close to the truth. But anyway, Cam Newton did ask him about that and he kind of danced around the topic. He didn't want to speak about it that well. At this point, I'm of the belief if you're Justice Smollett, you die with a lie. It's same with Megan Thee Stallion, right? I'm of the belief, I don't think Tory Lanez shot Megan Thee Stallion, but I'm also of the belief that I think Tory did too much and was probably flying too close to the sun. He was fucking Tory's best friend. He was fucking Tory. Then when they went to Kylie Jenner's house, allegedly Kylie was showing him signs and he was trying to fuck her too. So I just think, Megan did what most women do in those situations and she got her revenge, right? There's no such thing. What's that? No one knows wrath like a woman scorned or something. I forgot how that quote exactly goes. But, Megan got her lick back, got her revenge, and he's sitting in prison. Do I think he actually shot the girl? No. But if I'm Megan, I'm never telling the truth. Fuck that guy. I'm taking a lie to my grave. I don't blame her. Don't tell the truth. Fuck that guy. He tried to play you. He tried to, whatever. I get it. Justice Smollett is at that point too. You can't now after so many, because I think eventually he will admit it was a lie. We all know it was a lie, but I think eventually he will get to a point where he admits it. But if I'm him, take that lie to the grave. Take that lie to the fucking grave. Fuck them all. Whatever they have to say, you don't fucking care. Take that lie to the grave. But I did remember watching that interview thinking, wow, this is why people used to love Justice Smollett. He's a very charismatic guy. But unfortunately, the charisma went to another place. Talking about charisma, this guy I don't think has any charisma. I'm not gonna lie. I don't think you would describe this guy as having the most charisma in the world. But have you guys heard about K-Flock? Allegedly, according to fucking DJ or Academics TV, K-Flock was sentenced to 30 years in prison. 30 years in fucking prison. Crazy. 30 years. Allegedly, he got slapped down with a good old 30. He got slapped with a good old 30. Now, not too surprised, right? The RICO he was a part of was fucking wild. His gang of kids in New York allegedly were, doing a whole bunch of madness. Obviously, that drill scene over there was as real as it was in any other part of the world. It's kind of one of those sad things about drill, isn't it? Drill music overall, I'm not really the biggest fan of. I think it's quite repetitive and all kind of sounds the same. But the guys at the top are the guys at the top, right? They sound fucking incredible. But a really sad part about drill is that in order to be a great drill artist, really and truly, if we're honest, right? If we're honest, you have to be about that life as well. You have to live your raps. You can't be a drill artist talking about drilling, talking about spinning, talking about scoreboards, talking about dumping, talking about this, talking about that, and not really be doing it. You have to be doing it, unfortunately. And the more you do it, the better it makes your music sound, right? It hits way harder when you know the person's actually on the, on the front line, jumped off the porch doing whatever he said he's doing, or he or she said they're doing. But unfortunately, that also puts a time limit on the amount of time that you're going to have out there. Number one, because you might get killed, or number two, you might get arrested. It really does put a cap on how long you can kind of, enjoy your time in the sun. So I'm thinking to myself, when I saw this K-Flock news, I wonder, right? How does it feel to be K-Flock? Like, would you rather I think I know what the answer is. I think if you told a kid that K-Flock's age, I'm assuming when he went to prison, he was probably in the range of like 19 to 22 into prison, right? Or when he first got arrested for this RICO. I wonder if you're K-Flock, right? Or if you're a kid out there, would you rather have because I can't remember how long he had where he was like popping, he was viral, he was going big, his videos were getting millions of views. I'm going to say like a year, let's say 18 months. Let's say he had 18 months of making big money where he could buy chains and any amount of fucking tech fleeces that he wanted to, and the Mary jeans and all this stuff and Moncler jackets. He was like probably the the latest he's ever been in his hood. He was able to fucking drive in foreign cars, and he had all the fucking groupies and these fucking DMs and shit, right? All the whores. he probably had 18 months of enjoying the fruits of his talent. 18 months of enjoying the fruits of his talent at an age where, like, you know, it's probably the funnest you're gonna have, right? I'd imagine being super famous from the hood and being like 19 to 22 is probably super fun if you can imagine it, right? Imagine, you know, you're walking around the streets and you're already a big deal when you're in the streets, then you get a bit of fame, you become an even bigger fucking deal. But you only have that 18 months though, you know, and then you have to pay the price of all the work you put in to make you that big, and now you're spending 30 years behind the jail, behind the wall, 30 years behind those bars. And you're going to do the whole 30, because K-Flock's he's, you know, this is a bad, you know, not to be, you know, whatever to him, but this is a naughty boy, you know. This is probably a kid that's been in trouble all his life, in and out of probably juvenile shit. So there's probably not a chance he gets out on good behavior. Let's just say that, right? It'll be unlikely he gets out on good behavior. So he's probably going to do the whole 30. And yeah, it's just, I don't know. I wonder if that's worth it. Would you 18 months of like being the latest you've ever been, and have to spend 30 years in prison, or living 30 years of just abject normality? 30 years of just abject normality where you might sell the odd 3.5 grams of weed here and there, but you're just in the hood doing your thing. No one knows who the fuck you are. You go to work, you do your USPS, your UPS job, you come back and you just keep it moving. What is actually better? To be the latest you've ever been for 18 months, or to spend 30 years just being an average guy? I think a lot of kids, unfortunately, and a lot of kids would definitely pick being lit for 18 months. It's like what's his face, isn't it? If you think about it, the Playboy Carti album title, right? That's why it's so genius. Die lit. That probably is what I'm thinking about with these kids coming up. They all want to die lit. They would rather die lit than live mid, you know? These kids nowadays would rather die lit than live mid. They really would. And it's just sad, because he was obviously really talented. I like some of his stuff. I like the videos especially. I think, who was it? I don't know if it was his brother or the other light-skinned kid. I was with him too. He was super hard. I really enjoyed what they did. But again, you know, once they go into prison and the music stops, you kind of stop checking for them. But I still remember that video of him but that video of him getting into that tiff with the guy in the barbershop and blowing his head off. Like, I can't imagine how much of a goon you have to be to, like, New York already feels like a police state in general. If you've ever been to New York, you'll know there's police everywhere. Like, legit, there's police on every corner. That's why if you're a goon in New York, you're really about that life, because I feel like there's always people watching. There's like tower blocks everywhere. People's curtains are twitching. There's police on every corner. I can't imagine the amount of undercover feds and informants that exist there. You already saw the thing with what's his face, with 6ix9ine and that guy, right? There was a record producer that was like a long standing fucking, you know, snitch that was obviously informing for the feds. I forgot his name. I think it's like CEO Chris or something. There was that guy who was a part of the Supreme team, like an extended family member who's also, you know, they've had a long history. There's been a long history of confidential informants working with the police to bring down gangs in New York. So if you're really on the streets doing this sort of stuff, you got to be really about it. So for him to get into this tiff with a guy, again, maybe the guy pulled out a gun first in self-defense, who knows? But that whole thing of, like, you know, like shooting somebody in the Miri jeans and like expensive Jordan 1s and a Moncler jacket, like, wow. But again, you can't lie, man. You can't lie. That obviously made the music sound better. Let's not lie. That made the music sound so fucking good, because he was actually really about it. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I really do. You know, it's kind of sad to see, because he has a lot of talent and he could have been way bigger if he just would have kept his, you know, self out of the streets. But again, the streets kind of helped the music to be more lit, to kind of bounce and to kind of pop more. And he kind of lived these raps in it. He paid the ultimate price, and it kind of is what it is. So far, we haven't heard any snitching from that group, I don't think, for the most part, or from him allegedly. I think, you know, that's how you should take it. You lived that life, you benefited from it. Now you're kind of paying the price for it. You just got to take it on the chin. But 30 years at his age is fucking crazy. But I kind of knew he was going to get time anyway when I saw this. I knew he was going to get locked up for time when I saw this from his lawyers. Do you see this article from his lawyer? Look at this from the New York Post. This is fucking crazy. Drill rapper K-Flock couldn't be a gang boss because of intellectual disability. So K-Flock's lawyers were trying to go for the whole diminished responsibility thing because he's a bit tapped, he's a bit dumb, he's a bit slow. That's what they're trying to go for. That's the defense they went for. That's the best they could do. That's how I knew he was done for. He didn't have the best representative out there, did he? Unfortunately, Joe Rapper K Flock. That's probably why That's probably why if you're a guy who's involved in the streets, who's in a gang actively, you're partaking in, you know, stuff, you probably should be going out of your way. As much as you're buying jewelry, you probably should be going out of your way to siphon off some money for a good lawyer. If you're still gonna if you're gonna do the street stuff, at least have the best attorneys on your fucking payroll. Because we see what the best attorneys did for Young Thug, we see what the best attorneys did for fucking P Diddy, right? Both of them were looking at crazy number of years, and they kind of got off lightly because of having the money to afford the best representative. If you've got it, you can get away with a lot. We've seen it in most, especially in America. If you've got lawyers that, you know, are, you know, high priced, you can get away with quite a lot. Joe Rapper K Flock, this is from December 16th, couldn't have headed the ruthless crew that terrorized the Bronx with rampant gun violence because he has an intellectual disability, his lawyers argued. Lawyers of the 22-year-old PSA hitmaker, whose real name is Kevin Perez, made a head-scratching claim as they lobbied a Manhattan federal judge for leniency at his sentencing court records show. The jailed musician argued that the prosecutor's star witness, a fellow member of Sev's side DOA crew, managed Flock due to his proposed disability. So they're saying he was too slow to be a gang boss. He's too tapped. That's the defense. That's how I knew he was going down. But the feds blasted the argument as Flock's transparent attempt to deflect responsibility in any way they can. He was the one leading the charge in the streets, not the other way around, said Southern District Attorney, District of New York prosecutor wrote on Friday. The feds have asked the Judge Lehman to sentence Flock to 50 years. Okay, so he got off then. He got off quite lightly. They said they went to sentence him to 50 years in prison for his role in the gang-fueled Bronx shooting spree from 2020 to 2022, an Upper Manhattan burst of gun violence that resulted in the murder of 24-year-old Hauskar Hernandez. Over the course of less than 18 months, K Flock and his fellow gang members engaged in a campaign of violence, deepening existing gang rivalries and instigating new feuds where none had previously existed. Dozens of people were shot at, injured, and even killed during this short period of time due to the increased gang violence. A jury convicted Flock in March of racketeering, conspiracy, and various weapon charges and assault charges, but Flock was acquitted of a murder after the attorneys argued shooting of Hernandez outside Hamilton Heights barbershop was done in self. Okay, cool. So he got acquitted of the. Okay, cool. That's okay, decent. So the guy in the barbershop, that was self-defense then. Fair enough. The embattled rapper celebrated the verdict, posted on Instagram. I beat the top count. I made the jury cry. He said now he had a force. He said now he not forced to give me life. Never fold, never will, he continued. Flock also wrote on Instagram, kill all rats, which prosecutors called an unmistakable shot. I'm sorry, but these drill kids are the best. You're currently in prison. You're currently not even in jail, you're in fucking prison, right? Awaiting your sentencing for a RICO. You got off on a murder charge. You got off on a murder because they counted it as fucking self-defense. And now you're on Instagram stories talking about kill all rats. Yo, I love these kids, man. They don't give a fuck. The facts demonstrate that the defendant was not meaningfully changed. Flock's lawyer did not respond for Tuesday for a request or comment, submitted a letter to the judge with his own sentencing recommendation. So they wanted to give him a good 50. They went to give him a 50. They went to give him a pinky, but luckily his lawyers, which I'm, you know, not the best fans of, they got it down to 30. So he did kind of get off. He on it. He was going to get 50, but he got 30. So it's kind of a good result all in. But I'm also remembering there was a time, right, where I remember, wasn't he the guy that posted the video? He used to be one of those guys that posted a video of him on Instagram Live. No, he posted Instagram Live in an Uber. No, sorry, in his own car, driving around looking for ops. Remember that? Like he'd be going around op hunting, driving around the ops hoods and stuff, looking for them on Instagram Live. I think he chased one guy down on Instagram Live as well. Why are you running? I just want to talk. Yo, on Instagram Live, you know. God forbid if you would have caught him. God forbid if you would have caught those guys. So yeah, free K Flock, I guess. Free K Flock, not coming out any soon, but still, you gotta say it. Free K Flock. What an absolute legend. 18 months shining, and now he's spending 30 years behind prison doors. I'm sure he's probably happy with that bargain, happy with that deal. I personally wouldn't be. I'd want to spend a bit more time enjoying my richness and stuff, but I guess these kids, they truly don't give a fuck. They truly don't give a fuck. And in a way, in a way, I kind of rate how much they don't give a fuck. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of rate it. I kind of rate it. Okay, cool. Let's move on. Let's get to the main thing I wanted to talk to you about, which was regarding this. I'm sure some of you guys have seen this already, so I'm not giving you any news that you haven't seen, but RIP to the great and the wonderful, legendary actually, director and actor Rob Reiner and his wife, who were unfortunately found dead with stab wounds in the LA home a couple of days ago. It has now been, you know, it's kind of been widely said across most social media, and I think the kid has actually been officially charged now with the death of his mum and dad, which is kind of wild, because I think recently I've been listening to Tim Dillon, and I think maybe it's a podcast on Patreon with Ray Comp, but Tim Dillon was talking recently about this case in New England, New Haven, wherever they're from, right? Wherever Tim Dillon and Ray Comp are from back in the day, or recently, sorry. This kid murdered his parents, and they were basically saying that that's a very common thing amongst affluent people within that type of area of America. It's a very common thing of like the child having like dreams and desires of killing their parents, or this weird tension between the kid and the parents, where the kid is kind of waiting for the parents to die so they can inherit the wealth. There's a very strange relationship. It's a really interesting thing that he was talking about. Obviously he was talking about it in a jokey way, but it's kind of wild to see, like, a couple of days later that episode dropped and now we're seeing this. And I also heard another story about this gospel singer who got killed by his son. Like crazy deaths happening lately, but this is really fucking sad, really fucking sad, especially when you find out that the son was struggling with a lot of mental health and drug issues. The dad was trying his best to help him. He directed a movie about his life, or kind of based on his son's life, and trying to help him recover and get help and shit, and just generally, right, the struggles that kid had, and obviously the dad doing everything he can to help him. And yeah, it kind of resulted in this. And then the latest thing I heard about this, which makes it even worse, is that allegedly I think that they said, I think, if I'm not reading the article here, but I think that what I saw online was that the daughter found him, which is horrifying. And then the other thing I heard was that they allegedly got killed with slits to the throat. So he was super close. Obviously you have to be close to kill somebody with a knife anyway. It's they always call that one of the most personal, vengeful type of deaths, right? A lot of people that, I think I remember reading somewhere, a lot of the deaths that happen via knives are usually done by somebody that you know. It's a very like close range kind of personal attack sort of thing. And yeah, allegedly slit their throats. Kind of crazy to see. One of the most disgusting things I saw really regarding this whole thing was TMZ parked outside their house, recording videos of their family and friends in Hollywood walking by the house and paying tribute and crying. And obviously TMZ got the camera in their face, like, aye. It's in those moments you think to yourself, fucking hell, TMZ, man, have some class. TMZ, have some fucking class, man. They're pointing the camera literally at all these colleagues and friends who live in an area who are paying their tributes outside the house, like, oh yeah, disgusting. But I guess it is what it is. Let's read the article quickly and I'll kind of get you through some of the stories that have kind of been on my mind regarding this. This is courtesy of Sky News on Monday. It says US director and actor Rob Reiner and his wife have been found dead at their home in Los Angeles. Reiner and his wife, Michelle Singer Reiner, apparently died of stab wounds, and the family members being questioned, US media have reported. So I find it interesting how they immediately went for the son. It doesn't happen. I feel like nowadays there's always a bit of an open investigation thing. Usually a lot of these, if you watch a lot of true crime thing, you'll notice, especially when it's a death in a family, it's usually somebody that's in the family. But nowadays, especially even, you know, the stuff we're seeing lately with this David case, open investigation, we're going to explore all angles. So it's interesting how immediately as soon as it happened, the son was under investigation. But there's also another story I heard or I read somewhere online that the kid and the dad had a big argument at, I think, a Conan O'Brien's party or something. Some big blowout argument as well that people, you know, were kind of talking about in their little scene of people. So I guess they were literally on bad terms before their death. The Los Angeles Fire Department said a 78-year-old man and a 68-year-old woman were found dead inside their property without identifying the victims. Reiner turned 78 in March. Detectives from LAPD Robbery Homicide Division have been assigned to the case, and the force says in a statement. LAPD Captain Mike Bland also said they were investigating an apparent homicide. A large police presence was gathered at the house. Reiner was a celebrated director whose work included some of the most memorable movies in the 1980s and 90s. He directed such classics as This Is Spinal Tap, Princess Bride, When Harry Met Sally, A Few Good Men, and Stand By Me. He also acted and starred in Sleepless in Seattle, The Wolf of Wall Street, among others. His most recent high-profile work was recurring guest in the hit show The Bear. He met Michelle Singer in 1989 while directing When Harry Met Sally. They have 3 children together. Michelle used to work as a photographer and took photos of Donald Trump that appear on the cover of his book. Really? I didn't know that. Shit, she took the picture for the Trump, The Art of the Deal. Fucking hell, RIP to her. That's a legendary picture, by the way. It's kind of ironic too, because, you know, he grew up, you know, Reiner was a very vocal critic of Trump as well, but I never knew that. That's fucking crazy. A spokesperson for the Reiner family said, "It is profound sorrow that we announce a tragic passing of Michelle and Rob Reiner. We are heartbroken by this sudden loss, and we are the privacy during the unbelievable difficult time." Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass said Reiner's death was a devastating loss of the city. Rob Reiner's contribution reverberated throughout America, culture and society. He has improved countless lives through the creative work and advocacy, fighting for social and economic justice. An acclaimed actor, director and producer, an engaged political activist, he will always use his gifts to serve the service of others. Reiner was a champion of liberal causes and political activist. In 2004 presidential election, he backed Democratic Republican candidate John Kerry and featured advertisement taking aim at incumbent President George W. Bush. Reiner also supported Democratic President hopefuls Al Gore and Hillary Clinton. Former US President Barack Obama led tributes to him and wrote on X, "Michelle and I are heartbroken by the tragic passing of Rob Reiner and his beautiful wife. Rob's achievements in film and television gave us some of the most cherished stories." Oh yeah, and I saw a clip of Michelle Obama saying that they were actually planning to go for dinner this Sunday, or actually to them. Allegedly this Sunday they were meant to have dinner with Rob Reiner and Michelle Reiner, which is kind of tragic in itself. Former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said, "It's hard to think of anyone more remarkable and excellent in every field. Rob was creative, funny and beloved, and in all their endeavors, Michelle was an indispensable partner, intellectual resource and a loving wife. Personally, Rob cared deeply about people and demonstrated that in his civic activities, whether by supporting the first 5 initiatives or fighting against Prop 8 in California. Civically, he was a champion of the First Amendment and the creative rights of artists, and professionally, he was an iconic figure in film, and who made us laugh, cry and think with the movies he created." Jesus. Actress Kathy Bates also starred in Reiner's movie, told, "I'm horrified, absolutely devastated. I love Rob. He was a brilliant and kind man who made films of every genre, challenged himself as an artist. He changed the course of my life. Michelle was a gifted photographer. She shot my beautiful photos of Misery campaign. My heart breaks for them both. My thoughts are with their family." So yeah, tragic news. Tragic fucking news. I don't know. I can't imagine what would have to go through your head to kill your parents in this way. I really can't imagine what would go through your head. I've seen some clips of the kid who they arrested, Nick Reiner, saying that he was, you know, I remember I think he mentioned that he was on a very crazy like coke and something else bender, and he was punching walls and going fucking wild. So maybe that contributed to it. Who fucking knows? Maybe there's some deep-seated resentment there. Who fucking knows? What I do know, looking at pictures of him from when he was young all the way until recently, he's got a very dead look behind his eyes. You know, there's not a lot of light behind there. Not too sure if that's just, you know, him growing up and being born the way he was born, just was born with depression or had dark thoughts. I don't fucking know. Who knows? But he doesn't look like somebody that was enjoying his life. Let's just say that. And yeah, man, what an absolute tragedy. What an absolute tragedy. It seems like his parents did everything they could to help him, and he paid them back in the worst way possible, innit? Like, it seemed like legit, because a lot of these, you know, some of these Hollywood parents, you see, they're not that active. Like, I've seen quite a lot of interviews where he's with his son on the red carpet, he's with his family. So I think, you know, they were clearly a close-knit family from the outside looking in. They clearly were trying to support him. They weren't one of those Hollywood or celebrity families where when they got like a black sheep in the family, they sort of like ostracize them, don't invite them to the red carpet events, don't invite them to the family gatherings or whatever. They were trying to keep him around, keep an eye on him. It didn't work. It really didn't work. Unfortunately, it really did nothing. He was set on his path and he ended up kind of taking their lives, which is fucking tragic, especially when you find out that allegedly he slit them on their throat. So really fucking horrifying news. So RIP to both of them. And then obviously the development of that is that the son, and this is what probably makes it the worst, right? The worst case, because why are you hiring an attorney? This is the headline from TMZ. Nick Reiner, the kid who's alleged, the son who's alleged to have killed his mother and son, his mother and his dad, sorry. He's hired Alan Jackson. So Nick Reiner is calling on the heavies after being arrested for allegedly murdering his famous parents, because Alan Jackson tells us Nick hired him as a defense attorney. So he had the wherewithal. So he can't even, for me personally, right? You can't even say the defense of like, oh yeah, I had like a crazy drug fucking fueled, you know, freak out. where I sort of like went crazy and it wasn't really my true self, because now he's hiring a legit attorney to represent him in court. Why would you do that if you know you're guilty of killing your parents? Surely, if you killed your parents in that way, and you know whatever reason why you killed them, surely if you really are regrettable about what you've done, and you feel remorseful about it, and you feel horrible about it, you feel heartbroken about it, surely you'd want to do your family and friends a service by just admitting that you did it, right? And just confessing that you did it, and not even acquiring a lawyer in that regard. Maybe he's going to do that anyway, who knows? But it seems like, shock horror, it seems like this kid is a bad kid. Shock horror, it seems like this Nick Reiner kid is a bit of a piece of shit if he's hiring a lawyer in an effort to fight his case, so he doesn't go to prison, so he doesn't do any time behind bars. Brother, you killed your parents, you slit their throats allegedly. Like, you're like, what the fuck? Absolutely wild. Alan is one of the most well-known criminal defense attorneys put out there. He's no stranger to high-profile cases. He recently got Karen Reed acquitted for murder in Massachusetts. I don't know who the hell is Karen Reed. I don't know who that is. Someone called Karen Reed got acquitted of murder. So he did a good job with someone called Karen Reed. As you know, Nick was booked for murder charges after Rob and Michelle were found dead on Sunday in the Brentwood home, and he's being held without bail. We saw Alan heading into Los Angeles courthouse on Tuesday for some legal proceedings related to King's case, so game's on. TMZ broke the story. Nick got into a heated argument with Rob at the Conan O'Brien Christmas party Saturday night, loud enough for others to overhear. Rob and Michelle left the party after the fight. Around 4 a.m. on Sunday morning, Nick checked into a Santa Monica hotel and left a trail of blood behind, sources of the direct knowledge told. Nick's been open about his struggles with substance abuse, cycling through rehab centers, and being homeless at some points. It'll be interesting to see what kind of defense he presents. Sometimes you know how they say you can't choose your parents? They say that a lot, right? You can't choose your parents. You can't choose your parents. You really can't choose your kids either. You know, you really can't choose your kids either. Like this guy, Rob Reiner, I saw an interview of Rob Reiner sitting down with his dad, Nick's grandfather, talking about how proud he was of his son and his achievements. And they clearly have a great relationship. I think his dad's a little bit more, you know, stoic and a little bit more stern and quiet and not as chatty and bubbly as his son, but still clearly have a loving relationship. Most likely Rob was trying to do the same thing with his son. They provided everything they could for their kid. They're both involved in the Hollywood, you know, industry. They probably set him up with directors and writers and everything possible, trying to put him in acting school. They probably did everything they could for Nick, especially the one that's most trouble. You'd imagine, right? The one that's most trouble probably gets the most attention, the most resources. They did everything they could for this kid, and the way he thanked them was to slit their throats. Like, you really, like, what do you do in that respect? You know, you made an amazing life for yourself. You're trying to give your kids the best life that they can give. And then one kid just ends up being a little bit tapped through no fault of your own, just ends up being a little bit off the reservation, you know? God almighty. Tragic. But this sounds like a, you know, classic Hollywood tale, isn't it? They're definitely going to make a documentary about this. You already know that's coming very, very soon. But RIP to Rob Reiner and Michelle Reiner as well. Absolutely tragic news. And the fact that the kid is out here fucking, you know, having an attorney in his corner is kind of horrible. Who knows? Maybe he might still confess to the whole thing and spare the family and the friends, you know, the horror of having to go through the entire fucking court case, you know, in public and shit, and get all the dirty laundry out there. Who knows? He might end up doing that. But this isn't a good sign. If he's doing this, it's not a good sign for me. It shows that he's like, you know, there's not a lot of remorse there. You know, for me, it shows there's not a lot of remorse there. Really, really horrible, man. So RIP Rob Reiner, RIP Michelle Reiner as well. Absolutely tragic news. I can't imagine how the daughter feels. There's a video of the daughter, Rob Reiner with his daughter as well. That's super, super beautiful, where she's talking about getting a BBL, and the dad's kind of entertaining her. She's giving him a haircut. Oh, I can't imagine what they're going through. I really can't imagine. But the one controversial thing to come out of this is this particular thing here. This is the most controversial thing to come out of this whole sordid affair. Has to be Donald J. Trump's tribute to Rob Reiner, which is split the internet, right? It's really divided the internet. People are very they don't know what to think. And I have a very controversial point of view when it comes to Donald Trump's weird tribute to Rob Reiner. My opinion on this is going to be somewhat controversial, so please bear with me. So Donald Trump took to Truth Social to basically give his tribute to Rob Reiner, and he said the following: a very sad thing happened last night in Hollywood. Rob Reiner, a tortured and struggling but once very talented movie director and comedy star, has passed away, together with his wife Michelle. Reportedly, due to their anger, he caused others through his massive, unyielding and incurable affliction with the mind-crippling disease known as Trump derangement syndrome, all in caps, sometimes referred to TDS. He was known to have driven people crazy by his raging obsession with President Donald J. Trump. He's talking in the third person here, with his obvious paranoia reaching new heights as the Trump administration, or with capitalized, surpassed all goals and expectations of greatness. And with the golden age of America, capitalized, upon us, perhaps never before may Rob and Michelle, what's I saying? Okay, cool. Never before have Rob and Michelle rest. Never before may Rob and Michelle rest in peace. So, obviously, on the face of it, not the greatest tribute, right? Very callous, very narcissistic, very egomaniacal, and if anything, as Nick Fuentes said, right? Big up Nick Fuentes. Who would have thought I'd say the words big up Nick Fuentes? But big up Nick Fuentes. He made a really good point. He said what this post showed was that Trump is very empty. There's nothing in there, right? There's nothing inside of him. Like he's probably one of the most unique people we've ever seen in history, where for real, there's like, he only cares about himself. There's no other, even his family and his kids. I don't really think he has the capacity to care for his family and friends, or his family and his kids the way he cares about himself. So truly, just a narcissistic, egomaniacal, selfish, self-centered, whatever person, right? But one thing he said is like, he's very empty in there. Another thing someone said that I thought was really interesting too was like Paul Graham, the guy who founded Y Combinator, right? The startup fund thing, right? He mentioned something like, we've gotten used to this, right? We've gotten used to this being the way he speaks, but we also forget that he's a president of the United States. And we also forget that he's single-handedly changed what we expect from politicians and presidents in terms of how they conduct themselves online, or how they conduct themselves just general when they're talking. There was a particular gravitas, particular politeness, cordialness, gentle. There was a particular way you kind of conduct yourself when you was a president. And he's kind of completely flipped that, because he just says what he thinks in it at all times. So my opinion on this is this. I've always thought it kind of weird, when people say don't speak ill of the dead. I've always thought that's kind of a strange thing to say, especially if you didn't have anything good to say about that person when they were alive. I've always thought it was really odd when people would say the phrase don't speak ill of the dead when you didn't like that person when they were alive and they didn't like you. I don't really understand that. I've never understood that. I get it in terms of being polite. I get it in terms of being like, kind, right? I get it maybe in terms of some karmic retribution type of shit, but I think I would rather my quote unquote enemies say this about me when I die than the fake love. The fake love I can do without. The fake fucking condolences, sentiments, whatever, keep that to yourself. But if you actually didn't rate me or like me when I was alive, when I pass, yeah, stand on it. You know what I mean? I don't really have a problem with this. I really don't in some ways. Yes, it's not the greatest thing to see when you're kind of, if you're kind of emotional about this and you're feeling sad about the death, and maybe you know him personally, you connected a lot with these films, you're not going to like this. It's not a nice thing to see. But we also live in the era where everyone's, people kind of go out their way to be mean, right? We live in a very mean, kind of like purposely condescending, petty, everyone's trying to rage bait each other. We live in one of those type of mischievous eras, right? Everyone's kind of trying to like poke at each other. So I'm not super surprised to see this, but I just think in general, there is a bit too much put on the idea that everyone should be respectful of the dead, especially if you didn't like that person. I just think sometimes in life, if you want to say rest in peace, I think you should be allowed to say rest in peace. I don't like it personally. I don't like this. Even, I don't think I'd personally go out my way to do that. if anything, if somebody that I didn't like or that I would consider my op passes away, I just won't talk about it. You know, I won't mention it. I think that kind of goes to show, you know, that says everything. But to go out of your way and start doing the whole fake love thing, oh, I always loved your movies, I actually wish we kind of got on good terms, I wish I would have picked up the phone call when you called me, the beef wasn't even that like, no. Keep that same energy that you had when I was alive. Keep that same energy. But what I don't like about this is this, or the funny thing about this, when the death of Rob Reiner happened, right, when the tragic passing of Rob Reiner and his wife happened, I did see a bunch of right-wing accounts on Twitter saying, oh, watch the way we respond to death of Rob Reiner, who was a, you know, as Trump said, he did have Trump Ranger syndrome, and he was a very anti-Trump guy. A lot of right-wing influencers, I was like, watch, we're going to treat this death with class. We're going to show you guys, or the left, or people in general, what you should have done when Charlie Kirk passed away, blah, 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 blah. And then as soon as they say that, a lot of them give them praise, give them credit. They were very classy in terms of their response and kind of gave him the grace and, you know, whatever. But it was super hilarious when this tweet came out, because it completely, like, you know, put on their head the assertion that they were having, that, yeah, we were going to treat this classy because like, their commander-in-chief, their leader, is out here being the most callous and cruel person you could be. Now, me personally, I thought the whole hand wringing and the whole pearl clutching and the whole fainting and and just the general soppiness of the whole thing when Charlie Kirk passed away and some people were celebrating, was really overcooked and stupid, because the guy said a lot of controversial, mean, offensive things about a lot of people, a lot of groups of people, let's say. So to suggest some people shouldn't celebrate or be happy that he passed away was dumb. Don't get me wrong, you know, going around being happy about people passing away is an odd thing anyway, but this is the era we live in, right? We have drill artists making music about, you know, their ops, you know, posing stuff. We just live in a strange era. We live in an era where people are, you know, Trump's literally bombing boats in the middle of the ocean and telling you everybody on that boat is a fucking Sicario or is a fucking, you know, crazy gang member, when we have no idea who they are, right? So we live in the strange times, right? It's cool. I just think, in general, both things should be allowed. If you want to dance on fucking Charlie Kirk's grave when he passed away, cool. You know, cool. If you want to celebrate when this Rob Reiner guy dies, cool. Everyone just be truthful about how they really feel, though. That's what I'm trying to say. Let's not lie. Let's not lie about how we really feel. I'd much rather this guy say how he really feels the way he really feels like this. Show who he really is. People can see it in 4K. And then obviously he doubled down on it too, by the way. When he asked in a press conference about it, I think this made it worse. He actually doubled down on it too, which made it worse. But at least you know who he is. So you know, because there was a time when a lot of people, especially some of the people that were trying to be, I guess, contrarian or be counter or whatever, when they were supporting Trump, like, you know, going out of their way to say that he was misunderstood. I don't think he's misunderstood. You know, I think people maybe try to ignore what he actually is and who he actually is, which is okay, because if you're just thinking about policies, if you're thinking about your bank account, if you're thinking about the border and stuff, if you know, if you got some things in mind and you think he kind of ticks those boxes for you, I get it. But don't confuse yourself that this is a nice person. This is a good person. This is a kind human being. You know, this is not a nice, kind person at all. This is a real, you know, for lack of a better term, this is a cold-hearted killer. This is a guy that means what he says what he means. And even when this Rob Reiner guy died, you know, I don't know. Like, there's no way. I don't think there's a death that you could have that would justify this type of a post anyway, right? I don't think there's a death that you could have that would justify this type of post. But surely getting killed at the hands of your deranged, drug-addled, you know, son, you and your wife getting killed at the hands of your child, should, you'd imagine, kind of eke a little bit of sympathy and empathy out of your enemies. You'd imagine, right? Getting killed like this by your enemies. Like, it's not like he got, you know, if they were in the gang or something and he got killed by someone from his gang, okay, whatever. Like, his kid killed him. And the wife in cold blood. And this is the way Trump is kind of like celebrating this. It's kind of wild. But again, like I said, I personally think we should all keep the same energy. If you hated the guy when they were alive and you want to say some crazy shit when they die, cool, whatever. But also be okay with the fucking reaction. Don't start crying when people start reacting poorly to it. You know, you said it's fucking, you know, crazy to most people. But I thought the doubling down was probably worse. Maybe the double down might have been worse. I think so. The double down might have been worse. I'm not gonna lie. This is the double down. courtesy of a press conference the other day. Let's play the clip.
A number of Republicans have denounced your statement on Truth Social after the murder of Rob Reiner. Do you stand by that post?
Well, I wasn't a fan of his at all. He was a deranged person as far as Trump was concerned. He said he knew it was false. In fact, it's the exact opposite, that I was a friend of Russia, controlled by Russia. You know, it was the Russia hoax. He was one of the people behind it. I think he hurt himself in career-wise. He became like a deranged person, Trump derangement syndrome. So I was not a fan of Rob Reiner at all in any way, shape, or form. I thought he was very bad for our country. Yeah.
Slips, Mr. President. Leader Thune.
Like, you could say all that stuff in the beginning, right? You could say all that stuff in the beginning, like he was one of the main proponents of the Russia hoax. He made my life a living hell. He was always out there talking about Trump derangement syndrome, whatever. You could say all that stuff, and you could still end it with, like, even with all that said, the way that he passed was absolutely tragic, and my heart goes out to his family and friends. Like, you know, he's in my, like, you could probably say all that nasty stuff in the beginning and still end it with, like, still the way he went out. You know what I mean? Like, the way he went out is truly, truly shocking. Probably the nightmare of all parents. Probably parents don't think about that sort of stuff, right? You never think about your kid's gonna murder you. But surely, you know, if there's a way to go out that's fucking horrible, you'd probably say getting killed at the hands of your son is, like, up there. But he didn't want to say that. He still kind of stood on it. So in a way, whatever, right? But my thing is this, which is not going to happen, by the way. My thing is this, because we saw already happen with the Charlie Kirk thing. Charlie Kirk died. People were celebrating. Some right-wing Republican people were out there trying to dox people, getting them fired and stuff because they were celebrating and happy that Charlie Kirk died. I swear on my life, right? When Trump dies, you know people are going to be throwing parties on the street. You know, it's going to be it's going to be, I think when Trump dies, it's going to equal how I was shocked. I remember being shocked and kind of taken aback when I saw the response of Kevin Samuels, because I didn't really listen to much of Kevin Samuels. I kind of knew of his existence. I knew who he was kind of generally, in the same way I kind of know who Andrew Tate was, but I wasn't really that aware of his, like, message and who he was about. I mean, I kind of just knew the clips and the fucking whatever went viral. When he died, I was like, whoa, I didn't know he was that much hated. I didn't know he was that controversial, because the women on the time, especially on my timeline, the women on the timeline were so ecstatic. They were dancing on his grave like crazy. They were so happy, right? And it was kind of unsettling, like, oh, Jesus Christ. Was he that hated? Or I don't know. It's kind of hard to, like, understand. But when Trump dies, I don't want to hear a peep. I don't want to hear a peep from anyone, right, that purports to be a MAGA person or a Republican. Don't say a word, because if he's saying this about Rob Reiner getting killed by his fucking son along with his wife, when he dies, just be okay with, it's going to be uncomfortable for you to see, right? If you're a Trump person, you're going to be uncomfortable. It's going to not make you feel good, but you got to just take that on the chin. You're gonna have to take it on the chin. If people are celebrating for a week, if people are making fucking memes, if people are doing the whole Sora fucking video thing, if people are doing crazy shit, street celebrations, 24-hour live streams, you have to just take that on the chin, because your commander-in-chief is out here standing 10 toes down and kind of, you know, doubling down on the fact that he's, you know, mocking and taking a piss out of this guy's death, and he died in the most callous, cruel, evil way possible. You just have to take it on the chin when he dies and everyone celebrates. But no one's going to do that. Everyone kind of all over the place in society in general. People are going to cry. They're going to want to dox people, get people fired. But let's just keep the same energy on both sides, you know? I already thought the way that, you know, the celebrations with Charlie Kirk were a little bit excessive, in my personal opinion, especially with the brutality of it all, right? And the fucking, you know, explicitness of it all was just a bit, like, you know what I mean? Whatever. But I get it, man. If you're paying attention to what he was saying and you're politically aware and you watch some of his debates and you're aware of the stuff that he said about certain groups of people and minorities, I understand. I get it. I get it. Would I personally do it? No. But let's just be equal on both sides, you know? But unfortunately, we're going down a dangerous path now, right? We're going down a dangerous path where people are celebrating people's deaths on either side. We're going to get to a point where, you know, it's going to get very techie. Maybe, you know, not to be that guy, touch wood, but when a child gets involved, I want to see what's going to happen, you know? Let's see what happens. But here, let's see how it goes. Let's see how it goes. R.I.P. to Rob Reiner, though. R.I.P. to Rob Reiner, man. Man did not deserve to go out that way at all. Man did not deserve to go out that way at all. Talking about deserved, I saw this clip, right? Big up San Francisco subreddit, drunk couple attacks restaurant employees in Hayes Valley. I saw this clip and it features a drunk couple in a restaurant doing what drunk couples in restaurants do when they're not kissing and sucking each other's faces. They're getting into some sort of tiff, right? It's kind of, I guess it's kind of fun. I'm not gonna lie. I would assume getting into a fucking little scrap in a restaurant with your fucking lover and shit, your partner, must be a bit of a vibe. Let's be honest, must be a bit of a vibe, right? Because you know you got someone that's gonna back you. You know what I mean? You're gonna fucking laugh about it in the Uber home and shit, but madness. I saw this clip and allegedly this lady got into some sort of beef or trouble with the bartenders at this restaurant bar thing. The boyfriend is the guy here in this sort of like salmon red, whatever this jumper is, trying to hold her back the whole entire time. And she's doing what most annoying girlfriends do, where she's just trying to attack the men. And obviously the men she's trying to attack don't want to hit her back, but the guy's there, so he's gonna catch some of the licks. So it's like a weird position to be in as a man, because your wife is fucking starting trouble with other men. The men are being, you know, are being gentlemen and respectful and not trying to hit your wife back, but she's also crossing the line. And there's gonna reach a point where, you know, one of those men's gonna hit you. If he can't hit your girl, he's gonna hit you. But when I saw this clip, it made me think to myself, the only way to really hit a woman in this sort of like interaction, like imagine you're a bartender doing your job and she's just attacking you, throwing stuff at you, you know, saying insults and just being really bratty and aggressive. The only thing you can do in this situation is push her, or what one of these bartenders did. I'm gonna play a bit of the clip. I'll play it towards the end and you'll see the bartender what he did at the end. I thought that's probably one of the only things you could do in terms of attacking a woman, except for pushing, that is justifiable in this situation, because no matter how annoying she's being, you can't really hit her, really. Close fist, open palm, you're always gonna look like a monster. You're probably gonna get arrested. You're gonna be fucking cancelled online. It's not worth it. But the thing that he did at the end, I feel like is the only thing you can do as a man if a girl does try and attack you.
Please step away.
Alright, that's the entrance! Alright, he's just fucking harassed! Yeah, he's on this side!
Please leave.
Tell me one more time? Did you touch me?
Leave the restaurant. I did not touch you.
Oh!
Please leave the restaurant.
He's a liar too!
I just tried to. Bruno.
So there's I don't know if you can't see the video, she's arguing with some guys behind the bar, the bartenders actually. There's a random dude who's there. I think he's one of the workers too, because he's wearing all black. Looks like he's a waiter too. There's a guy recording her the whole entire time and she grabs his phone and smashes it on the floor. I'm not gonna lie, if that's me, I'll find it hard to control myself. But you have to in that situation. Especially you're working, you can't hit somebody, let alone a woman, you're gonna get fired obviously on the spot. But in that situation, when you're the boyfriend, what do you do? What do you do when you're the boyfriend? Because that's not, it's different if you're on a date. If you're on a date with somebody, you don't know them that well, and they spaz out like this, you just leave, innit? You don't have no loyalty to them, you don't owe them nothing, you just leave. But if that's your actual partner, your wife, your girlfriend, whatever, even if you are going to leave later, you have to get them out of there. You have to do the right thing, the gentlemanly thing, and remove them from that danger. Remove them from that danger for both of you. Just remove them. And then obviously on the way home, in an Uber, on the bus, whatever, have a stern talking to them, and obviously decide at that point if you're going to leave or not. Like, hey, this is enough. I can't do this. I'm not being here again. But you can't leave them there on their own. You know, you have to try your best to de-escalate it as quickly as possible. Because what may happen, the danger is that she's going to say something to one of the guys. He's going to reply back to her. And then you're going to get offended. Because you're a man and that's your woman. You're going to want to protect her. And then you're going to want to jump in. But it's not your beef. You've done nothing wrong. She's the one that's starting the whole thing. So you have to be really aware of like, it's so hard. I have so much sympathy for this guy, because if that's your girl and she's like this, obviously you've let her get away with too much anyway, that she's kind of doing this in public. It's way too embarrassing. But in this situation, you really have to get her out there as soon as possible, because one of those guys might say something to you or about her in your presence that you're not going to like, and then you're going to have to squabble. And I don't know about you, but for me, when you fight somebody, you have to have a reason. Like I don't get activated well if I don't feel in the mood. So I don't know how you're gonna activate your fighting, your fighting energy if you really aren't in the mood, you know, because it's not really your fight and she started it and you know she's kind of in the wrong. And if the guy calls her a bitch or a cunt, you kind of side with the bartender. So how do you activate your anger? I don't know how to do it. Anyway, let's continue. Okay, he's doing well. He's trying to get her out. He's doing well, right? He's trying to get her out. He's trying to get her out, right? But then he makes a grave mistake as he's walking out. That he's trying to get her out. He's saying he's apologizing to the bartender who's recording, or one of the waiters who's recording her. But then as he turns his back, I don't know if you can see his video, as he turns his back, his girlfriend ends up getting into an argument with some random girl sitting at the bar. There's a random blonde lady sitting at the bar. The girlfriend gets into an argument with her, and if you don't see it in the clip, but the blonde lady sitting at the bar, she knows judo or something, because she grabs the girl and just spins her, spams her on the ground. It's pretty crazy. It happens so quickly. He turns his back for a half a second. By the time he turns back around, his girlfriend's on the floor. She just got slammed on the floor by another person at the bar. A woman, luckily. Boom. Blonde lady slams a woman on the floor and just sits back on the bar. By the way, big up blonde lady with the ponytail. What an absolute boss. She just slams a woman on the floor and just sits back right back on her chair like nothing happened. Love it. Now they're both getting dragged out, right? Now the boyfriend's getting choked by one of the bouncers or something. Now he's getting choked. Now he's getting rear naked, choked, grabbed out of the fucking club. Oh my God. All because your girl just has a short temper, can't handle a drink, and you don't have the balls, right, to put her in her place or to really tell her to chill the fuck out. To give her a good stern telling to or something, right? Or, you know, draw the line somewhere. Jesus Christ, this is horrible.
Get out the way. Get out the way. Let's go.
They get dragged out, right? They're both getting dragged out. Everyone's cheering. And this is the bit that interests me. So they're getting dragged out, they're cheering, and then one of the bartender / waiter guys gets into a shoving match with the lady. And unfortunately, this bartender waiter guy is a tall, slim Asian dude who has really long hair. And of course, she starts grabbing his hair. Right? This woman starts grabbing the random waiter bartender's hair, pulling his fucking hair. Like, the restraint that he showed not to fucking knee her in the stomach, not to give her an elbow, not to punch her in the face, uppercut, kick her, is crazy. Because she's pulling his hair. Like, this Asian guy's hair is really long and she's yanking it. And he shows so much restraint. Any other man would have laid her out quickly. But he's showing a lot of restraint right here in this situation.
Stop! Hey, let go right now. Let go.
He's got his hand on her hair.
Let go right now. Let go.
It's an incredible chain, right? There's a boyfriend at the back being held by one of the bouncers or the people working at the restaurant. The boyfriend's trying to pull the girlfriend off of the guy. The girlfriend's holding the guy's hair. So there's this whole chain thing happening and the guy in the middle trying to break them up. Crazy situation out here now. She's pulling hard, bro. I'm surprised the guy's got strong hair. He's got good hair. Because I'm surprised his hair hasn't ripped out. She's yanking, proper yanking his head.
Let go. No, let go right now, please. Let go. Yes, please let go. Please let go.
I'm not touching your boy.
Okay, stop.
No, he's on his phone.
No.
Hey.
Boom. Very appropriate, by the way. And then as she finally lets go of his hair, as the woman finally lets go of his hair, he walks away. I think maybe he does a middle finger, or I don't know what he does. He does something to her. Maybe she says he's got my phone. As she's running back towards him, he trips her, aggressively trips her, and she slams on the floor, obviously because she's a bit drunk as well. That's what I thought to myself. That's probably the only thing you could do to a woman, you know, is trip them. If a woman is attacking you as a man, the probably only thing you can do to get some sort of, like, you know, to hit them back, kind of get some sort of revenge. You can't really punch them. You can't really slap them because you're just too strong, too whatever. It's not going to be good. It's not going to look good either. Just imagine somebody walking by seeing you hitting a woman. It's just crazy. You probably should never get into that habit anyway. But if somebody's going that length to hit you, the only thing you can do is probably trip them. you know, because she slammed on the floor really fucking hard.
Hey.
Boom. And of course, classic, right? Of course, classic. She starts crying. Classic, right? In this situation, she's been the aggressor the whole entire time. She's been the bully the whole entire time. She's turned that restaurant bar upside down with her fucking antics. And the moment she gets any type of any type of fucking, you know, whatever, she starts sobbing on the floor. And let's not lie, the sobs sound awful. No one wants to hear a woman cry like this. This is going to pull out your heartstrings, but she's been the aggressor the entire fucking time. And now everyone's going to be running over to her, making sure she's okay. It's like, brother, you started the whole shit. You started everything. You're not on the floor for no reason. But she's sobbing the whole entire time.
Guys.
That's why I always say to myself, and I say to people in general, I think guys have this thing where, like, some guys will watch this clip and say to themselves, you know what, she must have that fire. There's no other way a guy would deal with this sort of bullshit unless she has that fire, right? Which might be true. But I don't think there's a level of attractiveness, a level of sexual attractiveness, whatever, right? I don't think there's a level that would ever excuse this type of behavior. I think personally, men should get more in the habit of being like women. You know how women get the ick? Women can get the ick with the most successful, handsomest guy you've ever seen. Like, he does one thing that she kind of grates her. Maybe he kind of uses too many emojis. Maybe he texts too often, whatever. It just instantly turns them off, no matter how attractive, how rich they may be. I think guys need to develop icks more often and not always look at the fact that this lady lets me hit it raw or sucks my dick whenever I ask. I think you need to think more beyond that, because this is the type of woman that will get a man killed. Let's make no mistakes about it. Let's not be hyperbolic. This is the type of lady that will get a man killed. She'll get you involved. She'll get you in some sort of passer that you have no business in, that you have no involvement in, because she's got a short temper, because she's volatile. And then you, because you're the gentleman, because you're the man, you want to fucking stand up and protect her and shit. And now here you are getting slept on the concrete, getting shot or something, whatever else it may be. Guys need to find a way to suppress, to maintain their dicks, right? And put them in order and think, just because a girl's hot, just because she's your type, just because whatever, you shouldn't put up with certain behaviors. It's just not acceptable. Because there's no way that I'm believing this is an isolated incident. There's no way I'm believing this is an isolated incident. This has definitely happened more than once. Maybe even more than 5 times. This has happened in different guises. Maybe he doesn't have the courage to say something to her. Maybe she's just unmanageable. Some people are just like that, right? There's just no way you can talk them down, right? No way you can kind of talk sense into them, maybe. But if that's the case, you have to leave for your own sanity, for your own safety. You have to leave. She has to get her life in order before you can either have a relationship. Because imagine the trouble she's going to get you in. Imagine the stress you have getting. Forget the trouble he's going to get you in. She's going to get you in, sorry. Imagine the stress they must go through behind the scenes. Behind closed doors. The amount of stuff she must throw. The amount of doors she must slam. The amount of stomping on the floor. The amount of high-pitched voice screeching. I just couldn't do it. Maybe I'm just built different. Maybe that's the case. Men are just all different across the board. But I think in general, I've definitely heard of a lot of guys who would say things like, oh, you're lying, you say you wouldn't hit it because she's that. Brother, if this person's got a stinky personality, I'm not going near them. If they're a horrible person, I'm not going near. It's just not worth it. It really isn't. It really fucking isn't. Men need to develop icks the same way women develop icks. Some women icks are they don't even make any sense sometimes. Women will have icks that don't even make any sense, right? That don't even make any sense, bro. I heard of some girl saying recently, oh, she gets the ick with guys when they don't know where to pick to go for a date. Like a guy texts her and it's like, oh yeah, hey, let's go somewhere, I want to take you out to eat, here are some options. She got the ick and immediately stopped talking to the guy because he gave her options. I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing, right? You're being considerate to the person. You're saying, hey, I want to take you out, but I don't want to take you out to my place. I want to, if you want to, there's 3 options here, I picked 3 options, what do you think? And then we'll choose one in it. That gave her the ick and she got turned off by the dude. which is fine. That's her prerogative. She wants a guy that's maybe more decisive and takes a lead. Cool. But I think guys need to do the same thing. Guys need to do the same thing. If you're going out with a girl first date and I don't know, she's fucking ordering 17 sides, right? And all of the desserts. Maybe she's taking a piss out of you. Maybe she's just there for a free dinner. You know, maybe even if she gives you something at the end, maybe don't call her back the second time, you know? Maybe allow it, because every time you do call her, you have to spend like, I don't know, a couple bills on a fucking dinner and fucking dessert. It's not worth it. But I don't know, men sometimes, you know, think too much with their dicks, unfortunately, in these situations. But that trip was glorious. That trip was glorious because there's not many situations, if ever, where a man has the ability, has the permission to put their hands on a woman in any kind of physical, violent way. It doesn't usually happen. But in this scenario, that waiter, that bartender had every right to trip her the way he did, because she was yanking on his hair like crazy. Hopefully now he learns to probably put his hair in a ponytail. I think if you're working behind the bar, you probably shouldn't have your hair out like that anyway, because that was too much, you know? That's too much. Like, she's lucky that guy showed restraint, because another guy would have punched her clean in her face, you know? She was pulling his hair way too much there. But yeah, what a crazy situation. What a crazy situation. I've heard, as per usual, I've heard this woman's been doxxed. The guy's been doxxed from the San Fran area. They're from some sort of company, blah, blah, blah. It's just, you know, the whole shebang. They've been doxxed. Everyone's found out who they are. All this sort of malarkey. It's gone fucking crazy. Talking about fights. Can we talk a little bit about Bobby Shmurda getting jumped in Minnesota? Can we talk a little bit about Bobby Shmurda getting jumped in Minnesota? I personally think this is a whole big nothing burger. But if anything, I think this shows, in my opinion, the softness of the internet. And the reality that a lot of people, a lot of guys, especially online, haven't necessarily got involved in a fight before. And I think that's a bad thing. I think as a man, you should have been involved in some type of fight, some type of physical altercation, for you to understand that it really isn't that big of a deal if you get rushed. It really isn't that big of a deal if you lose a fight. It really isn't. Like, you're not going to beat up everybody, right? Especially nowadays in an era where there are guys out there who are training 7 times a day while working a full-time job. You might come across a guy who's going to put hands and feet on you and take you to the cleaners. In this particular situation, Bobby Shmurda did really well, I think personally, because he threw the first punch. I think in that situation, if you're being surrounded by a bunch of goons in a state, in a city you're not from, and they're putting the pressure on you, you have to throw the first punch. My dad always told us, especially growing up, if somebody rushes you, you have to hit one of them really fucking hard. You have to send a message, you know what I mean? Hit one of them really fucking hard. And I remember even, you know, back in the day, people would be like, yeah, bite them. You know what I mean? It's when someone comes at you, bite them. Like, this is not like a joke thing. Like, if you're outnumbered, you have to do whatever you can do to equal the fucking, you know, to fucking balance the scales. And sometimes biting somebody, leaving them with some sort of mark, a bleeding, a missing limb, an open wound, will put the fear of God in the others. That's what usually happens, because they're strength in numbers, right? They all feel cocky and confident because they're together in a group. But when you put something on them, they're going to feel a bit different. So I thought Bobby Shmurda dealt with it properly. I thought the Minnesota guys dealt with it well too. They were trying to get a lick off him, right? I think one of them allegedly stole his pendant at the end, right? In the skirmish, his pendant either dropped, I think that's blood actually. His pendant, or maybe missing jewels, his pendant either dropped off or they ripped it from his neck. That might be the whole reason. So if those guys were like stick up boys, jack boys, you know, the jack boys did what they're meant to do. The jack boys saw a very famous, very flashy out there rapper come into their city. Most likely they got a bit funny because he was probably in there taking all their girls, their attention. You know how it is in local clubs, right? It must feel weird, right? When you're the big guy in that city and state, and then the rapper comes in and all the girls suddenly start, you know, begging that they want to go see him. They're all in this section. They're posting all their outfits and their stories. They got a bit jealous and they got a little bit web in their feels, or they just wanted to jack into his chain. Cool, no problem. The jack boys did what they're meant to do. And I thought in this situation, Bobby Shmurda also did what he was meant to do in that situation, by holding his own and getting the first punch in. That's the best thing he should have done there. Here's a clip, right? Bobby Shmurda is the one in the blue jumper. So there's Bobby Schmurder there in that bluish jumper there, right? With the kind of mountains thing. And you can see he's getting pressured and he's getting fucking, you know, intimidated and bullied and shit by the people around him. It's like he's asking for somebody in the DJ booth, somebody to give him something, a microphone, an object. I think he wants some sort of weapon to hit these guys with. He wants something in his hand because he feels the pressure. They're trying to like do something to him. Personally, if that was me, I'm never turning my back like this. I think Bobby Schmurder is just like a different level of bad boy, right? He's a different level of goon that he was confident they weren't going to do anything. But in this situation, if that's me, I'm not turning my back to you, you know? I'm going to take what's coming, but I'm not turning my back. But, you know, he's a different level of, you know, gangster guy. So he was probably very confident that they weren't going to touch him. Boom. Oh! And he gets the first punch in, by the way. Good job. Gets the first punch in. Very, very good job. Although the other guys then rush him and start really punching him in his head. But the first punch was the best thing he could have done. Got that first punch in. And then obviously the Minnesota guys then descend onto him.
Oh! Oh! Oh, shit! Oh, shit! Watch out. Oh, shit! Bobby and fighting. Oh, my God! Oh, my God!
And you can see his arm. Big up Bobby Schmurder. You can still see his arm as he's getting punched and rushed. He's still swinging that one arm that he's got free. Blindly, but he's still swinging it. Whoever gets caught with it gets caught with it. You got to rate the guy, man. He stood tall against what? Maybe the whole club. Essentially, he's there against the entire club's against him. You're not in your home turf. The promoters aren't going to jump in there for you, right? The girls aren't going to jump in there for you. So you're literally the whole club against you. One against the entire club. I thought Bobby Schmurder did really well here. And then I think in the later clip he goes behind the bar, he goes behind the DJ booth, he gets a bottle and he tries to throw at one of them as well. So he did what he's meant to do. I like the video after the fact, right? When after this happened, he was right in his hotel room with lumps on his head with I think this is the one with the chain, right? He gets a chain back after.
Hey Dave, I need my chain fixed. Dave, I need to fix my shit. Go fix my chain.
You see his head's all lumpy and shit, but he's smiling. Looks like he's in good spirits.
You can, you heard?
Southside.
Lit mob.
You did. Lit mob.
Fuck you talking about, nigga? Gave it right.
Oh!
So yeah, he got his pendant back, which is I guess the best thing. I guess that kind of goes to show his, you know, street reputation and shit. Even though they popped it, he still ended up getting it back anyway. And this is his response right after the fact.
You just fucked up the whole program. Don't you run from this pipe!
I just don't understand why they thought he would be the one to kind of go for. You know, don't get me wrong, I don't know much about him, but from what I've observed and the case he was in for and just how he carries himself, I wouldn't think Bobby Schmurder would be the type of person, like he's the type of person that would say, I'm willing to die for my chain, you know? There's those gangsters that exist that are kind of a bit tapped in their head and they're like, you know what? You're not going to jack me. I'm going to die for this. Like, you're going to have to take me with you. We're both going to go. You know, those type of gangster guys, those type of rapper guys, they exist. There are some guys who are like, you know what? I'll live to fight another day, take this, and I'm going to get my lick back later. But Bobby Schmurder doesn't seem like that type of guy. He seems the type of guy that's going to go all the way. So I'm surprised that they thought he would fold or something, you know? They should have probably got their hit in first. If they would have got hit in first, he probably would have been in a, you know, God forbid, but he probably would have been in the hospital now. If they would have started first, but they didn't. They let him get the fucking one up, which kind of shows their hearts really weren't in it. But again, they were Jack boys. They went to get their lick up. You know, you don't really hear of Jack boys going one. Usually, if you're a Jack boy, you usually got a group. You don't really hear of Jack boys that are usually stick up guys on their own. Those type of guys you should be very careful of, very worried for. A Jack boy that'll roll up to a person on dolo, you know, and stick them up like. That doesn't really happen. They usually always roll in groups. It's usually herd mentality type of shit. So it's no surprise that they all kind of folded and got a bit scared when he hit that one. Because if you really watch the video, there's only about 4 of them in a group that are really hitting him. The rest of them are kind of just like jostling, you know? They're a bit scared because he went straight for the jugular and just punched that one guy, and then obviously they were very crazy. But this video right after was really funny.
You just fucked up the whole program.
Honestly, but yeah, like I said, I just think this kind of shows you that the majority of the internet hasn't been involved in skirmishes, and they take this as an L. I think people like academics were being worried that he was gonna go back to Minnesota and throw away his whole life and let the fucking thing go because everyone on the internet was mocking. It's like, it's not that deep, man. Sometimes you lose a fight, sometimes you win a fight. In this situation, he both won and lost, right? Because you're 20v1 or more than 20v1, and he still held his own. He didn't back away, he didn't run. Stronger, tougher people would have ran, because there's no shame in running too. If it's 1v fucking 200, you should probably try and get the fuck out of there. But he didn't. He stood tall, he stood his ground. He eventually got his fucking pendant back. All good, all fucking good. But again, it's crazy out there in the streets. It's crazy out there in the streets.
You just fucked up the whole.
He just fucked up the whole program. Talking about street stuff. Remember what I spoke about in a previous pod regarding ASAP Bari, Young Lord? Well, you remember when he was at Art Basel, Miami, and he got rushed, or he got fucking attacked or beat up or something outside of a venue, and then later on it got clarified that actually Bari's guys were the one that were jumping his assailant. Well, he's now cleared up everything, because I guess as I broke down the video in the previous pod, it kind of looked like the guy that attacked Bari was also, or the guy that attacked Bari outside, pulled him back to the ground, was also putting the beats on his boys. Like he gave one of his friends a 2-piece in a soda. Like he was really, the guy in the stripy hoodie was really going to work with all his friends. But Bari is now trying to clear up all of it, because people are basically mocking him online. I feel kind of bad for Bari, because he comes across as a cool dude. I thought the whole Vlone thing was amazing at the time. He kind of obviously threw it all away by unfortunately being a little bit of a I wouldn't say sex pest. What did he get arrested for anyway? Do you remember that? What did he actually go in prison for? ASAP Bari conviction. Because what was it technically? Conviction. Was it sexual assault or harassment? Because that really fucked him. That really stalled his career, really. What happened? Sexual assault. Fucking hell. That's crazy to get. I still think that's one of the worst things that could be on your jacket. I think anything worse than that to be on your jacket as a man is stuff involving kids. You know? Just the term sexual assault is fucking violent, man. It makes you sound like a fucking monster, which he obviously is, let's not lie. But it said the incident occasion of assault occurred on the Grand Curtain Hotel in Shoreditch, which is not, it doesn't exist anymore, I'm pretty sure. It's been renamed, I'm pretty sure. Bari initially denied the allegation, but later pled guilty to 1 count of sexual assault. The second charge was dropped. The sentence, he avoided prison sentence and was instead ordered to pay £4,000 fine, $2,500 compensation to the victim, and $2,000 in court cost. The incident stemmed from a video that circulated online showing Bari pulling the covers off of a naked woman in a hotel room, yelling abuse and slapping her buttocks as she told him to stop. The judge noted that the case exposed very unpleasant attitude towards women. So yeah, he kind of fucked his career with that, right? So I think ever since that, unfortunately for Bari, there's been a lot of L's publicly. He had that beef with Ian Connor. He had a couple other scraps. There was that really embarrassing one where he fights some kid in a fucking basketball court and it looks like they get the better of him. They're literally teenagers. Kind of bad optic wise. So everybody's been saying online, fuck, ASAP Bari's getting, like, every time you see ASAP Bari's getting beaten up. So I guess he kind of felt like he had to explain what happened. Personally, I don't feel like there's an explanation that could explain it. Personally, I don't think there's anything you can say that's going to explain that video outside of in Art Basel, Miami. I think it says what it says. But let's hear ASAP Bari try to explain his side of the story of how he didn't get jumped in Miami. Big up Over and Under, by the way. Big up Over and Under, the premier streetwear, sneakers, and fashion and culture Twitter page to go follow. Big up Over and Under. Check out Over and Under. They're the best. Let's see what Bari has to say.
Landed, thinking I'm about to have a good time. Boom, I see the ops. See the ops, Theo. Shit get real optical, you feel me? I seen the nigga who bust one of my windows outside my pop-up that I had in New York, fucked up my money, had to shut the pop-up down, died off. Seen them, popped it on a pop. Hey, niggas think I got jumped. I'm with 3 of my niggas, right? So before I seen the ops, before I popped on the ops.
By the way, if the volume is low, it's not me, it's the recording. The guy that's recording this on his stream, he's not holding the phone to the microphone close enough. So if the volume goes up and down, it's mostly his fault because he's smoking, trying to look at the chat. You know, he's a bit distracted. But it's not me. The volume is low because of this guy. He'll hopefully get it back in the mic soon.
I said to the homies, like, yo, we about to go get it for him. The feeling was acting wild. Outside was too many niggas. Like, I ain't feel like calling Trav or none of them niggas to give me a side. So I'm like, all right, boom. We about to go to another spot. This shit too much. So boom. Before I popped it on the ops, I seen them. He ain't seen me. So I tell the bros in them, I'm with 3 of the bros. So I tell the bros, like, my bad. I tell the bros, like, listen here. Pop on this nigga, we out. Feel me? Do what we gotta do, he out. I popped it on him, got my little 2-3 hits out of him. Then the bros come behind me, they do what they gotta do, they pop it on them.
That's very convenient, right? So he says that the guy that we see putting the beats on him made him kind of, you know, lay down and rest on the sidewalk. He allegedly hit him first inside the venue. So the story goes, he says that guy messed up one of his pop-up shots by smashing the window and obviously having it closed down. He sees the guy in Out Bowser, Miami, and immediately hits him while he sees him on site type of thing. But we don't see that because the video starts as they're falling outside. So maybe there's some truth to that because he's walking in front of him. Maybe there's some truth to it. Maybe he punched him and then walked away and thought his boys were handling the situation behind him. But again, I think in fights in the street, you should never turn your back on your opponent, right? Never fucking turn your back. So maybe that kind of partially explains it. I personally don't buy it. I think he's copying, you know, not copying please, but, you know, trying to make himself look good. I don't necessarily buy that explanation. I still think that guy with the stripy hoodie handled what he needs to handle.
Another nigga that I know pops it on me. So I'm like, oh, what? You pop? Okay. So I started chasing after him while the bros is popping it on homie. Security guards is in the midst of breaking up everything. So as I'm chasing that.
So there's another guy. Okay. So I wonder, okay. So maybe there's another guy in there. So maybe the guy that we see outside is another guy. And there was another guy that he punched in. I don't know. It's just, this all sounds convoluted.
To the other nigga that popped it on me that I was shocked about, he grabs me. But I don't even know the nigga was behind me. The nigga grabbed me like I just got into heaven and he tried to bring me back to hell. So, the nigga grabs me and we chuckling on the floor. The bros see me tussling, they just come out of nowhere and start banging on them, stepping on them, punching them and shit like that. And everybody thought I got jumped because you can't even see me. So it looked like niggas is jumping on me because a nigga grabbed me back to the ground. My bros and them, they like stepping on them, punching on them and shit. Security guard is stepping on my ankle, Theo. Like literally stepping on my ankle. Like my shit damn near twisted. Like, you feel me?
Those niggas in here fighting.
Legs on the floor, hanging out the bushes, and they just stepping on my shit. Mind you, you know the security guard, big niggas, they probably like size 13.
Right.
Size 12 and a half, if not a 13. So, I get up, I'm trying to run. My fucking leg just went out, Theo, like.
Oh, that's when you sat down on the curb?
Yes, Theo. My leg was done with. Like, I couldn't even, I was out of here. I'm thinking like, damn, nigga, I feel like a nigga shot me in my leg. So, boom. So the bros is getting at it, and my mans is right there. That a nigga I know, he like, yo, come on, boy, get up. I'm like, nigga, I can't. My leg is done with. You feel me?
Oh, okay.
So in the video, I look like I just got beat up and I just fell on the floor. I just sat down. No, nigga, we was booped out bamming a nigga. Fuck you talking about, nigga? Damn, but if you look in the video, you can see me grab my leg. I grabbed my leg.
I don't think he believes him, by the way. I don't think, I'm going to leave it there, but I don't think this guy on the stream believes him. That's the look of a guy. Doesn't, you know when you're lying to your friend? You know when you're lying to your boy and they know you're lying? And they let you get off the lie? I think that's the face he's pulling. The friend on stream is giving him that face that all guys have given their friends. When you know your friend is lying, but they're your friend, so you don't want to call them out on it. You know they're a bit embarrassed, so you just kind of let them off, you know? But in short, in this situation, to be honest, Bari, if I'm anybody out there, especially even concerning the whole fucking Bobby Schmurder thing, I just think, in general, you should probably avoid any type of confrontation that gets physical online or in person. Avoid any type of confrontation. You don't know what people are on. You don't know where people have been from. You don't know what they've got on them. Just avoid any type of physical altercation. It's not necessary, because you can get yourself in a situation that you could just cost you your life, cost you your freedom for nothing, really. But if you're going to be that guy who's a little bit street, who's got, you know, you present yourself in this particular kind of way, you walk around like you're hard-bodied and shit, whatever you want to do, we have to really be promoting people trying or pushing people trying to learn how to fight. I just don't understand these guys who constantly get into skirmishes and don't have an ability to defend themselves, because this whole situation would have been dealt with if Bari slept both of those guys. If that guy that he, you know, allegedly popped his windows at his NYC pop-up shop, if he would have just done what he needed to do with that person and took them out of the equation, there would have been no rushing. There'd be none of this. He probably would have been on these P's and Q's. He would have turned around. He would have been, you know what I mean? But the fact that he wasn't aware of who was around him and stuff, I think is what led to the situation, what it led to. So we need to, I think if you're a person that wants to be with the action, if you want to get involved in skirmishes, just be prepared at all times. That means try and get some type of training. Try and get some type of training so that you're prepared for these skirmishes, because it feels like a lot of these guys aren't necessarily prepared the way they think they're prepared. But, you know, in these type of situations, what do I know? Absolutely nothing. What do I know? Absolutely nothing. Let's talk about something that I do know. Bruno Fernandes. Bruno Fernandes gave an interview. Allegedly, this interview was filmed or recorded a while ago, maybe it's 2 weeks ago. This is kind of post the disappointing 4-4 draw with Bournemouth. For the neutrals out there, it was a good game, I guess. But if you're a United fan, another frustrating game where we gave away leads, conceded loads of goals, basketball end-to-end game, crappy defending, rubbish finishing, and just no real rhyme or structure to what we're kind of doing. Again, frustrating. We're playing one time per week, and we never really see the fruits of the labor in terms of the training, right? We don't really see any of the tactics from Amarin. The players don't seem to know what they're fucking doing. It's all over the shop. So whatever. Disappointing result, especially considering how bad this season's been. Bruno Fernandes gives an interview, and Bruno Fernandes, because he doesn't really do this often. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a big fan of the guy, but he doesn't really do these interviews like this where he kind of calls out the club. And he called out the club and revealed something very interesting. In short, he revealed that the rumor, remember when he was closely linked to moving to a Saudi club in the summer? He was linked to, I think, a Saudi club maybe put in a bid or floated an idea that they were going to try and purchase him from United. I think the fee was like 100 million, something crazy like that. And a lot of fans, sensible fans like myself, were like, yeah, sell the guys, get in the fuck out of here. Because a lot of us, myself included, think the team is too centered around Bruno Fernandes anyway. And he's grossly overrated. And for the way that we want to play, he's probably holding us back a bit. He doesn't do much off the ball, really, defensive wise. He's kind of got a little bit of a salary about him. But because maybe he puts up more numbers, I don't know. There's a lot of conjecture about Bruno. But I would have personally been more happy to take 100 million for him, send him on his way, and use that money to reinvest into the squad, and also give the other players room to breathe, because Bruno Fernandes takes up all the attention, all the space, whatever. Cool. The play all runs through him because he's technically our best player. But he didn't want to go. And the story was that the club also turned down the bid. And then a lot of people, my fans including myself, were really pissed off. Like, why would you turn down the bid for a player that's like 31, 32 for 100 million when you know you're never going to get that money from him again? Like, it doesn't matter how good they are, you should probably sell them, innit? Like, but they didn't do it. And he revealed that it was the club's decision. The club didn't want to follow through with the sale. They weren't sure, which is why he ended up staying and talking to Amarin. So that was a very interesting reveal, because at first we thought the club said no, but really it was Bruno that said no. So let's read it. This is an interview he gives with the Portugal national team as follows. Until you win trophies, you're not valued as much regardless of the club and the league you're in. I was valued. What values me most has to be my club. Although lately I feel like I'm on the thin ice. In England, when a player starts approaching 30, they start thinking they need a makeover. It's like the furniture, which is true, right? Which is why I think Mo Salah has every right to be pissed off. Because I think in general, there's a weird tension with clubs and players. I feel like a lot of fans like to call out the club when it suits them, like to be more player FC. And then when the player turns against the club, the fans get very sensitive and start going against the player. But I feel like either party has to look out for themselves. I feel like clubs who are a bit wary or kind of have doubts about extending a contract of a player that's over 30 are being prudent and being mindful of the future, especially a player that's on a lot of money. You probably shouldn't be trying to renew their contract every year because, you know, after a certain age, they're definitely going to go down in terms of ability or in terms of their impact in the game. And a player also has to be wary of believing any of the gas that the club gives you, because, you know, things change. As soon as you turn a certain age, your performance starts to dip, they're going to start looking for a sale anyway. So I don't really have the problem with what he says here in general. And I think obviously at a top club, you know, winning trophies is obviously really important. United's been a bit shaky over the last recent years, but I don't really have an issue with that so far overall. And obviously I think the approaching 30 thing it's more about physicality. I think you probably get away with being a player over 30 playing at the top level in another leagues like La Liga and maybe the Serie A, but because the Premier League is so physical, it's so fast, it's so aggressive, if you're a certain age, it shows, you know, unfortunately. It's probably doing them a favor to kind of get them out of the club. You don't want to see a player of 35 and shit battling in the midfield against 24-year-olds and shit. It's just not going to be fair. Continues. The issue of loyalty isn't viewed the same way it used to be. I could have left the last transfer window. I could have earned much more money. I was going to leave a season ago. I won't say where, but I would have won many trophies that season. I decided to stay, also because of my family reasons, but because generally I love the club. The conversation with the manager also made me stay. Crazy that, isn't it? He was actually thinking of, and to be fair, I think every player at United should think of leaving. Every player at United is probably there, maybe because of our past glories and maybe in part to do with the money. But you're not really there to win stuff, you know, because the club's in disarray. We're a mess. Probably until the Glazers sell the club or die, we're never going to be back to our former powers anyway. I personally believe that. I don't think we're ever going to win a major trophy with the Glazers in as owners majorly. I think they have to either sell the club or die, and then we're going to maybe move on from there. But if we're going to have them for the foreseeable future, if we're going to have this crappy Ineos part ownership also for the foreseeable future, if you're a player and you're at United, you probably have to consider your future. If you really want to make a mark on the game, if you really want to win trophies, if you really want to put out the best performances that you've ever put out, evolve and develop as a player, playing for United is probably not the way to go. So if I was Bruno, I would have left too, you know, especially if you're the quote-unquote best player. Another quote. But for the club side, I felt a bit like, if you leave, it's not so bad for us. It hurts me a bit. More than hurting, it makes me feel sad because I'm the player who has nothing to criticize. I'm always available. I always play, good or bad. I give my all. Then you see things around you, players who don't value the club as much and don't defend the club as much. That makes you sad. So I understand him feeling hurt because I guess he probably knows that he's the star player of that United team. He gets treated differently. He's a captain, blah, 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 blah. But that's the way clubs are. There is no loyalty in the game on either side. I think a player has to look after themselves, have to look after themselves. Maybe he thought the club were going to fight tooth and nail to make him stay, give him a bumper contract. That's not going to happen. They're not going to give him a bumper contract. He's too old. They're not going to want to tie him down to a long-term contract and not be able to move him on because of his wages. We made that mistake before in the past. I don't have a problem with that at all. I understand how he feels disappointed by it, but I don't have a problem with that at all. The only problem I didn't like with this quote was, I'm a player who has nothing to criticize, aka you can't criticize me. I don't buy that. I feel like you can criticize Bruno. If anything, I feel like you should criticize Bruno the most because he is the quote unquote best player. I feel like a lot of Bruno fans, a lot of Bruno stands give him too much rope, give him too much bly. Like he gets away with murder on that pitch. The way he kind of wastes the ball, he doesn't hold the ball well enough. He's not good enough in possession. He's always trying to hit and hope, flicks around the corners. You know, the free kick he scored the other day, fair enough, it's a good free kick, but how many of those free kicks are blazed over, hit the wall? You know, he's missed countless of those free kicks. He scores one, all of a sudden these fans are, are in your fucking mentions telling you how fucking great he is. So I feel like he gets away with too much in this club, personally for me. I feel like he gets away with absolute murder because he's meant to be the quote-unquote best player. And I also feel like we probably play better as a team without him in the team. Obviously he's still our best player, but we play better as a team because the ball everything kind of goes through him. He's too much of a focal point. But then off the ball, he doesn't do anything either. Doesn't really contribute. You rarely see him making any good tackles, interceptions, whatever. It's all over the place. Another quote. The person who spoke to me was the president of Al Hilal, who called me directly. Ruben never sent me a message saying he wanted to talk to me. They wanted me to play in a Club World Cup with Al Hilal. It was already a love that came from Jorge Mendes era. He had already called me in 2023. So it seems like he wants to go Al Hilal, which I don't blame him. He's going to make a lot of money over there. He's probably going to score a bunch of crazy long range goals. He's going to fucking kill it over there. So I don't blame him for that whatsoever. I can't complain. I'm very well paid. But obviously, the difference in the abysmal, that was never that guide. The difference is abysmal. That was never what guided me. If one day I have to play in Saudi Arabia, I'll play in Saudi Arabia. My lifestyle will change. My children's lives will be sunny. After 6 years in Manchester with the cold and rain, I'll be playing in a growing league with renowned players. That I give him credit for, to be fair to him. I always respect players that come to the Premier League, especially players from Mediterranean countries, especially players playing for Man United in this current era, because living in Manchester, being from a Mediterranean country, and playing for us in this time, it must be a horror show. Leaving a place where it's always sunny, living in Portugal, playing for Sport in Lisbon, and then having to live in fucking Stockport. Having to live near Stockport, for fuck's sake. Manchester, for fuck's sake. Raining every single day. Like, you must love the club as well. Yes, the pay is really good, but you must have a love for the club, because that's really difficult. Which also, I also give them credit, the transfer, people in the club, whoever, getting players from South America, Central America to come and sign for that, it's a real achievement, because this is not like saying, it's different if you get a South America, Mediterranean player signing for a club in London, Arsenal, Chelsea, West Ham, that's different. You can sell London connections and stuff, London, but living in Manchester, like coming from living in fucking Lisbon to Manchester, that's a big cultural shock. So I give him credit for that. Another quote. I could have left like many people do and said, I want to leave. I don't want to train. I just want to leave for 20 to 30 million. So they pay me more on the other side. But I never did that. I never felt in a position to do it because I felt like the empathy and the affection I had for the club were the same. But it gets to a point where for them, money is more important than anything. The club wanted me to go. I have that in my head. I told the directors that, but I think they didn't have the courage to make that decision because the manager wanted me. If I had said I wanted to leave, they would have let me go. That to me is the shocking part of the whole affair. The club wanted him to leave. They were happy for him to leave, but they weren't courageous enough to maybe go against the manager and force the sale. Because I think what they were worried about was what they were going to do with that money, which I don't blame them because they're obviously inept, right? Obviously inept. The Ineos group, Glazers, have a track record of absolute failure at the club anyway, 20 plus years of absolute neglect and failure. But I probably think what happened there was that Ineos were worried that if they sold Bruno Fernandes, who's he's probably like the most beloved player in recent history at United, right? The fans fucking adore him. He can do absolutely no wrong. He's the apple of everyone's eye, star player. If they would have sold him ahead of this season, right, in the summer, and then not replaced him adequately, the fans would have went crazy, So they weren't ready for that smoke or that pushback. And they weren't also ready for the, how it would be. It would probably be a little bit of an adjustment period, getting used to not playing with him, being the focal point of the team. So they just left up to the manager. They didn't want to make the decision. They weren't brave enough to say anything. So they left up to the manager. Cowardly way to do it, by the way. Which kind of goes to show you as well why I sometimes think, although Ruben Amorim doesn't do himself any favors, I think Ruben Amorim kind of gets a bit of a bad kind of look because he's the only one talking for the club. You rarely hear Omar Barada come out. You rarely hear Jason Wilcox come out. Sometimes, obviously, you hear from the main guy. What's his fucking name? So Jim Ratcliffe, he comes out from time to time. But Amorim speaks for the club. He speaks for the board. You know what I mean? He speaks for the team. He speaks for everybody. And it's sometimes it's a bit too much. But this goes to show you why. Because the club, the ownership, the board, they're cowardly to their core. cowardly to their core. They didn't have the courage to make the decision whether or not to lead to sell. And the Bruno Fernandes sale would have been a big fork in the road for the club. Would have been a big decision to make, because you sell Bruno Fernandes, you are making an intentions known that you want to go a different way. You want to evolve the club. It gives other players a chance to maybe step into the limelight, have more position, to have more ability to play. It kind of changes the way that we play in general. It frees other people up. But now you keep him at the club. Now look at where we're at. Because coming the summer, you're not going to get 100 million from him anymore. You might get 60, you might get 50, but you're not going to get 100, you know? So we're in a really tricky position when it comes to Bruno Fernandes. But I think this has all been created personally by the board and ownership. I don't really have a problem with the players coming out and saying what they're saying. I've never really had a problem with that. I think the clubs do the players badly anyway. They scum over the players. So I think Bruno should always look out for himself and his family and his fucking trophy cabinet. He's probably wasted the best part of his career at United anyway, let's be real. He's probably never going to win a big major European trophy at a club. I don't think a big major European club would ever pay for him. He's not as good as people think he is. I don't personally think so. So he's probably going to have to take a payday somewhere, you know, which is kind of sad, to be honest. You know, he came to United probably with big dreams, thinking we were going to be back on the top again, waste a lot of his time here. And then, you know, when it comes to the end, the club want to kind of, you know, discard him and kind of throw him away because they don't think he's maybe pulling up trees anymore, or maybe because the offer's too good to turn down. This is why players should always, in my opinion, look after themselves, and clubs should look after themselves as well in this regard. But a very eye-opening revelation there, that the club were open to selling him but didn't want to make a decision. That goes to show how cowardly the Ineos group are. Another thing that's been blowing up on the Man United timeline is this. Kobbie Mainoo's half brother, Jordan, the guy that was on Love Island, decided to wear a really ill-advised timing. The timing is ill-advised. Kobbie Mainoo, as you guys know, hasn't been playing at all this season, coming on the sub. I don't think had started a league game for this season at all. Has been looking very dejected and grumpy coming on anyway. In my personal opinion, I feel like there is no reason why he shouldn't be starting games for United in some way, shape or form. Our midfield isn't that good. We're not that good as a team to have a player like Kobbie Mainoo on the bench. I don't think so. I think he should be replacing people like Bruno, replacing people like Casemiro, replacing anybody that's in the midfield. I don't really fucking give a shit. There's no reason why Kobbie Mainoo shouldn't be playing some minutes on that for that team, starting some games. We're not that good enough to have a player like him of his ability on the bench, personally. But it's obvious to see that the manager doesn't rate him, right? The manager doesn't rate him for whatever reason. He doesn't rate him, and he's also very I wouldn't say spiteful. He's got a weird way of kind of conducting himself on. So when he did that press conference, I didn't really like the way that he kind of responded to the question. He did a press conference where he was kind of like going to the press saying, hey, who did you expect me to bring on in the previous game, right? The game against Wolves, I think. Who do you want me to bring on? I had no offensive options on the bench. And obviously on the bench, he had Shea Lacey, the young kid. I think he's like 18, 17. And he obviously had Kobbie Mainoo. So immediately someone in the press said, yeah, you should have brought on Kobbie Mainoo. He's one of the offensive options. And he laughed. I didn't like that laugh. Maybe he laughed nervously. Maybe he kind of laughed like, oh my God, shit, I forgot about him. But the way that he laughed after that question, after that answer, it really wasn't good. Kind of a bad taste, looked very unprofessional. And again, just unnecessary there. So, obviously he's been going through a hard time. I think in recent appearances as sub, Kobbie's done a lot more on the pitch to kind of prove that he can play. I personally still think a lot of our fans put too much pressure on players who come off the bench, because this manager doesn't rotate well enough. Happened with fucking Zerski. Zerski didn't play for ages, basically from the beginning of the season. When Sesko came in, that was a new shiny toy. Zerski was kind of forgotten about. Then as soon as Sesko gets injured, Zerski plays, and obviously he needs to get back to match fitness, and the fans are on his neck. So I don't really, you know, until players play a certain amount of games, maybe more than 4 games starting, I won't really kind of make my verdict on how good they are or not. All that to say, the timing of this shirt from his half brother was a bit ill-advised, because in this particular game against Bournemouth, I think Kobbie came on quite early. I think he had like 30 minutes on the pitch. I think he came on the 60 or 50 minutes, maybe the longest he's had on the pitch as a sub, and he played really well. So the timing was a bit ill-advised, but I don't have a problem with this whatsoever. The manager's been treating the player like shit. The manager clearly doesn't respect or doesn't rate the player. the player's clearly not happy about not playing, which I would prefer. I don't want my players on the bench just happy to pick up a paycheck. They're not happy, they're not playing, they're not happy, they're not contributing, they're helping the team. That's a fucking good thing. They come on the pitch as a sub, they want to make an impact to prove to you that they can play. That's a good thing. They're pressuring and challenging the manager and put with performances to make them think, who shall I pick the next game and have you in consideration. That's a good thing. And his brother is also backing him up. That's a good thing. I don't have a problem with it whatsoever. I have zero problem with it whatsoever. Obviously, the repercussions of this won't be good because the club are always weird with this type of stuff, right? They're probably gonna come down on Kobbie, maybe talk to him, to tell to his brother, maybe ban his brother from coming to state. Loads of dumb shit will happen. I know that's what will occur. But I think either party, if Ruben Amorim doesn't rate Kobbie and he doesn't think he's a good enough offensive option to put on the pitch, cool. Laugh if you want in the press conference. I don't think that's good in taste, but laugh. If his brother wants to back him up in the stadium and wear this t-shirt, back him up and wear the t-shirt. No problem whatsoever. But what this t-shirt speaks to, in my opinion, what this t-shirt speaks to is the truth of the matter is, behind the scenes, I think there's something a bit more malicious going on. Something a bit more malicious going on. And what I think that's malicious going on is the fact that they don't want to sell Kobbie Mainoo. Because if Ruben Amorim is the de facto final say-so at the club, it seems like, right? Bruno already has said, I wanted to leave, the club wanted me to leave, but the manager wanted me to stay, so I stayed. So it seems that the club defers to Ruben Amorim. They're too scared to make any decisions, so they defer to Ruben. But in this case of Kobbie Mainoo, they're scared to let him go because they know most likely when AFCON comes around and we don't have any options, Ruben's going to want to play Kobbie Mainoo, and we probably don't have the money to buy any players in January. So the club are essentially holding Kobbie hostage. If you think about it, they're holding Kobbie Mainoo hostage until the AFCON, or until AFCON passes, and then when those players come back again, he'll be back on the bench anyway. That's how it kind of shows you how perverse and fucked up football is, because he's not playing now because those players are ahead of him and shit, or whatever else may be. And when those players are out and they need other options to play, they'll play him. But they don't really, you know, Ruben probably doesn't really rate him in that regard. So if I'm Kobbie Mainoo, I'm doing everything I can to force myself out of this club. If you're a player like Kobbie Mainoo, you know you're not going to develop under Ruben Amorim anyway, right? No player's really improved. Maybe with the exception of, not even improved, maybe with the exception of like Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw's had a good run of games now, right? You know, Ruben Amorim's fitness team have kind of got their, you know, have kind of figured out a way to kind of manage him and get him playing consecutive games, which is good to see. He's terrible. I want him off the books and he's a fucking wage thief, but, you know, in terms of him playing some games, cool. But there's not a lot of players who have improved under Ruben Amorim. So if you're Kobbie Mainoo, you have to think to yourself, you probably should be trying your bestest to get free and to leave this club, because this will, you know, this will be the end of you if you stay. So I don't really have a problem with it at all whatsoever with the free Kobbie Mainoo shirt. Yes, maybe the timing wasn't the greatest because he did play quite a lot of minutes against Bournemouth and he also played really well. But, you know, this is what your brother should be doing. You know, this is what your siblings should be doing. They should be supporting you in this way. The club is rotten to its core. Things like this are needed to kind of shake things up a little bit. And who knows, if this kind of leads to the eventual sale of this club fully and the Glazers leave, then I'm all for it. If this eventually leads to Ruben Amorim obviously getting sacked, I'm all for it too. Like, I don't really fucking mind. So I'm all for it. I don't really fucking mind at all. I don't really fucking mind at all. But again, when it comes to this stuff, what do I know? Absolutely nothing. Cool. Let's get on to some streetwear stuff. Let's get on to some streetwear stuff. Big up Complex. The best streetwear brands of 2025 could be a Complex. Now, don't get me wrong. Complex are known. Complex are one of the originators, I think. Complex and what's the other place? Forgot the other one. But Complex and Another Side, I've got the site, it escapes my mind now, are probably the originators, the creators, the inventors of rage bait. You know, especially when it comes to listicles, they are undefeated. They are top class. They are top of the line when it comes to listicles and rage bait. So some of these end of list things, don't get your knickers in a twist about them. Don't get too upset about them. They're usually not done in the most sincere way anyway. They're usually done to kind of create type of engagement and make you kind of go crazy. So it's not, I mean, it's not serious, but it's just like a bit, something to kind of have a conversation around and to kind of maybe see what the general landscape of the situation is. So this is courtesy of Complex. It's their best streetwear brand 2025, and the list has divided opinion, let's say, on social media. I personally don't think it's that crazy, but people are going a bit crazy about it on social. So let's read the list as it follows. The article says there's so much going on in the world of streetwear, it can be a lot to keep track of. Established brands with access to ample resources continue to find ways to impress. As the year comes to close, it's time to assess the landscape and determine the brands that did the best in 2025. We considered criteria like high profile collaborations, memorable drops, retail expansion, buzz among general customers and celebrities alike, and quality storytelling. Personally, I feel like you should get rid of this whole retail expansion thing. You don't need to expand your retail footprint to be seen as one of the best brands. I don't think that makes any sense in my personal opinion. Just because you don't have thousands of stores around the world doesn't mean you're not one of the best brands. High profile collaborations, I wouldn't say high profile collaborations, I'll say collaborations that just hit. They don't need to be high profile. Memorable drops, cool. Buzz among general customers, cool. Celebrities, I don't give a fuck about. And quality of storytelling, cool. So I'd get rid of 2 of the criterias. Maybe I'd get rid of 3. High profile collaborations, I'd just say collaborations in general. I'll get rid of retail expansion criteria, and I'll get rid of celebrities. But everything else I'm okay with. Let's continue. I don't know, it says top 20. Oh no, top, okay, best. I didn't say 20. It just says best. Okay, cool. Okay, it started at 19. I don't know why you just can put 1 to round it up. Anyway, 19, the brand's called Birth of Royal Child. I've never heard this brand at all. Oh, this is the brand that made the, okay. This is a brand that made the shorts that Future is famous for. The shorts covered in all the Swarovski crystals, whatever it is, right? The jorts. Celebrity co-signs from Young Thug at Complex Con, Birth of a Child, BROC, blew off a whole viral idea, Sparkle Sparkle, its signature 20k diamond denim bedazzled with Swarovski crystals. The only problem I have with brands like this is that this won't age well, you know? So big up BORC. But unfortunately, brands like this don't age the greatest. Let's actually see what they're about on Instagram. But unfortunately, brands like this don't age that well. So those jeans were really good, really iconic. The jeans that fucking Future wore with the fucking bedazzlements. Lamin Lamau wore it recently to an interview. This flannel, right, with the bedazzlements too. Footballers seem to like this shit, innit? The footballers seem to love these jeans. Or athletes in general. Starboy jeans, I guess, right? But this won't age well. That's the only problem with this sort of stuff. It won't really age well. It's not really future proof. But to be fair to him, to be fair to this brand, I'm looking at some of the stuff online and it looks like the bedazzled thing isn't what they only do. They don't only do the bedazzled shit. I'm looking at some of their ready to wear stuff. Yes, it's bedazzled, but it's some, you know, you got some nice cardigans here. You got a quality denim set, even without bedazzlement, looks really cool. You got cool sweaters and buttoned up. So it looks like they're gonna expand out of just the bedazzlements. So yeah, maybe there's some longevity there. Maybe, but I don't know. Once this whole baggy denim Timberland stuff goes out of trend, what do you do then? Because a lot of the aesthetic kind of centers around okay, Carti wore some of their stuff as well, right? They got Carti in some of their stuff, Metro Boom in some of their stuff. This jersey's quite nice actually. I don't mind the jersey. The Zodiac jersey, not too bad. Was it double line? Sorry, the double line Ryan So jersey is not too shabby, but a lot of this stuff won't age too well. But hey, what do I know? Let's continue. Basket Case. I don't know much about this brand. I think they've got a collaboration with New Balance out now, right? Debuting in New Balance collaboration during Paris Fashion Week. Not many brands are able to reference Hollister gear from 2000s, hardcore music with recent Disney partnerships. So let's check out Basket Case. I'm not really too familiar with Basket Case. Let's check them out. Basket Case. Is it Gallery? Is it the brand? Is it the same thing? Let's see if there's. I don't know if yeah, that is okay. So Basket Case. Yeah, cool. Yeah, it's alright, I guess. I like this. I like this trench. This olive green trench is kind of nice actually. The styling kind of reminds me a little bit, or the photography kind of reminds me of ERL or ERRD, whatever that fucking brand is, right, from California. There's some good stuff in here. That chore jacket is kind of nice actually. This distressed chore jacket. How much is that? Really? Those prices are really good, man. Okay, I kind of take this back. Big up Basket Case. Look at these prices. This is good for streetwear. Usually streetwear brands love to charge you $1,000 for stuff. This chore jacket here, they're saying, this haystack denim jacket, looks like a chore jacket, is $180. That's really fucking good for a streetwear brand. Zip up, studded zip up hoodie, $160. Okay. Tracker shorts, $150. Camo. Driver hoodie, which is a flannel with a hoodie zipped up on or stitched on it, is $150. T-shirts are $60. This is more like it, isn't it? T-shirt should be under $60, not fucking $100 or $200. This is okay. The pricing is pretty decent. I'm not going to lie. Big up Basket Case. All right, cool. I ain't mad at that. Pally Hollywood. I don't really know much about Pally Hollywood. Brigade. Don't really know much about them. Satoshi Nakamoto, 15. Wow, that's kind of low, in it, for the amount of exposure they get online, for the amount of people I see talking about this brand, who I don't think people know who the founder is yet, which is kind of clever. Obviously, it's a name. It's the same name as the alleged founder, or no, the founder of Bitcoin, who people say is either two people or some white guy or something. But Satoshi Nakamoto they make really, I guess, good streetwear that I personally wouldn't wear. It's not for me, my style, but I do like what they kind of do in general. I think their collaborations are really cool as well. They got something coming out with Sponge, big up City Benbury. Those are coming out soon, already come out, I'm not too sure. They've also got a pair of Vans that they did recently too that people are loving. But yeah, I like the fact that no one knows who the founder is. That's kind of cool. That you can have this really big brand and you can kind of live your life without, you know, people knowing who the fuck you are. That's kind of cool. I just love that. But I'm not really the biggest fan of the clothes, not gonna lie. But they are really popular. So I'm shocked that they're this low. 15 is kind of low for Satoshi Nakamoto, I'm not gonna lie. Spider. So Satoshi Nakamoto is lower than Young Thug's Spider. That doesn't make any sense. All they make is sweats. Let's see, hosting this Spider, that's Young Thug's brand, right? Hosting the Sweet Tooth Rodeo in Houston. Spider has development cult following, most prominently co-signed. Oh, so it's not even I thought it was Young Thug's brand. It's not. So I guess Spider is co-signed by Young Thug, but it's not actually his brand. The brand's web-covered sweatpants have become a staple in streetwear scene. This year, the brand expanded beyond its signature items, also offering cut and sew. They offered cut and sew this year, and you're giving them 14 over. Nah, if I'm Satoshi Nakamoto, I'm pissed. They started making cut and sew this year, but they're somehow rated ahead of. Nah, this list is already bunk. Okay, Happy Memories Don't Die. I don't know much about this brand. Again, just looking at it, right? Everyone's doing distressed, isn't it? Everyone's doing distressed. Everyone's doing distressed. Whether it's sun bleached, whether it's cracked fucking screen printing, rips, everyone's doing illustrate. Like, I wonder if we're gonna get a flip next year. Everyone just doing really clean aesthetic instead of all this distress stuff. I'm a little bit bored of it, I'm not gonna lie. Everyone staining their hats, ripping them, tying them, drawing on them. It's like, Bape. Come on, man. Bape number 12 is crazy, bro. Honestly, if I'm Satoshi Nakamoto, I am pissed off, bro. How are you below Spider, Happy Memories Don't Die, and Bape? That's crazy. Okay, Bape number 12. They got Kid Super. Okay, fuck off. Vans. Really? Streetwear brands. What's Vans done? Nah. If you're talking about streetwear, you have to talk about clothes. This list is already pissing me off. You're talking about streetwear, and then the thing that you put in the picture is a Vans shoe. I know that's inspired by. Come on, bro. This complex list is already bunk. This doesn't make any sense. Best of 2025 best streetwear brands, and you got Vans at number 11, and then the thing that you're featuring are the fucking Chanel inspired Vans. Come on, bro. Come on. Hellstar number 10. That makes sense, to be fair, in terms of how often I see it worn by people online and shit. I feel like Hellstar has a huge grip on LA or the West Coast, you know, in terms of how you see like Supreme everywhere on the East Coast. I feel like Hellstar is like incredible in the West Coast. I feel like everybody wears a Hellstar, even if it's fake. Hellstar feels like the West Coast version of Fear of God, if that makes sense. You know how you see kids in New York wearing Fear of God essentials and shit. I feel like you see the same kids in LA wearing Hellstar. So Hellstar doing great, and I think they're opening a store as well next year or something, right? So big up Hellstar. they're fucking killing it. And I see so many fakes of them too. I think if you see all the fakes, especially on Vinted and stuff, I see so many fake fucking Hellstar sweatsuits. So that's usually a sign that you're doing something right if people are faking your shit. So big up Hellstar. TMKK, which is Takahashi Murakami. What was that? As in Murakami, the fucking artist. Miss me with that shit. Denim Tears number 8. This is if I'm Denim Tears, I'm pissed. I'm pissed that I'm that low. I'm not gonna lie, I'm pissed I'm that low. Like, and also the company you're in as well. Like, huh? Okay, Denim Tears number 8. Number 7, Cactus Jack as a streetwear brand. It's a bit of a stretch, isn't it? A bit of a stretch. It's more of a merch thing. It's not really a brand, you know? I don't know. It feels like more merch drops tying into collaboration that he does. I don't know. Whatever. That's loose collaborations, but hey, loosely a merch brand. Palace number 6. They're not even in the top 5. That makes sense though, because Palace have been dog shit lately. Again, I'm a long time hater of Palace. Will forever be a hater of Palace, but they've been really dog shit lately. Even their collaborations have been bad. Before Palace's collaborations kind of saved them, but even the collabs have been bad, and the mainline stuff has been shockingly bad over the years, which is kind of sad to see how they've kind of fallen off. But maybe a lot of it has to do with the collabs. I think maybe if you're like, I'd imagine they probably don't have that many designers, right? No matter how many designers that you've got, spreading them across all the collabs that they do in a year, plus their collections that they do 4 times a year, it's a lot, in it. It's a lot of stuff to do. It's a lot to get right. So maybe that's a problem. They're not really selective for the collaborations, but I also don't blame them, because allegedly I forgot who told me this, but someone told me ages ago one of their collabs paid them, I don't know, hundreds of thousands. So that money goes back into the brand. You know what I mean? Paying people salaries, you know, expanding to new stores, keeping things fresh. So you kind of have to do the collabs to keep your shit running, or to keep the money in the fucking coffers, and to make payroll. But then doing all the collabs also stretches who you have there thin, and then you can't do the best stuff, you know? So it's a bit of a weird one. But yeah, Palace is terrible. They don't deserve to be 6 in my personal opinion, but hey. Stussy 5, I think they should be way higher. Personally, I think they should be definitely top 3. But Stussy 5 is a bit mad. I think they should definitely be top 3. I think Stussy's consistency year in, year out. Maybe Supreme has bigger drops, and especially in the winter, like autumn winter, when it comes to Supreme, is undefeated. I think spring summer, forget about it. But Supreme autumn winter is like the number 1. But you have to I think Stussy, in terms of like even across the board, they don't really dip that much. Everything's kind of just stable, really high level across the board. And now they're expanding into more collabs. Those fucking boots they dropped recently, the Bellator boots, like top notch. I'm gonna definitely be buying some of that stuff back later this next year and shit, when I get more lit and stuff. But yeah, Stussy I think are incredibly consistent. Collabs always make sense. Love the fucking lookbooks. The stores, again, not crazy expansion, but again, makes sense for the locations that they're at. And just quietly, just get along with their job. No big fanfare. They just quietly do what they need to do. Very, very quietly. So Stussy I think should be way higher. They should definitely be top 3 in my opinion. Maybe second only to Supreme, if that was up to me. Aimé Leon d'Or, number 4, really? I don't know. I feel like this has been one of the quietest years of Aimé Leon d'Or. I think, no, maybe it's just me. I feel like this has been one of the most. I feel like I see Kif on my timeline way more than I see ALD. Is it me? I feel like I see Kif on my timeline way more than ALD, and I feel like Kif are kind of like, and ALD kind of compete for the same customer. I do like some of the stuff ALD do. The prices are crazy for what they do. It's kind of like Visum prices, like fuck you, pay me. But number 4, ALD is a bit much, isn't it? I don't think they're the top 4. Come on. I don't think they're the top 5 streetwear brands of this year. No way. That's crazy. Supreme number 3 doesn't make any sense. They're definitely number 1 in my personal opinion. I think Supreme definitely in recent years have kind of reminded people the levels. Even if their box logo hoodies are made out of mostly polyester and shit, when it comes to consistently putting out good products, especially when you think about all the miscellaneous hits they have, right? In terms of the fucking motorbikes, the chairs, the fucking buckets, the whatever else that they have available, the coffee fucking makers, not just including all the collaborations as well that they do throughout the year. I think they've been killing it. Maybe some of their marquee collabs like the North Faces and the Nikes haven't hit the same way, which is probably why people don't really look at them the same. But in terms of consistency, performing at the highest of levels, plus you have to think about it, they're performing at that level with all of the influence of the brand, whatever the company was that bought them, all that pressure of having to expand all the time, that singular vision that James Jebbia has, you know. I don't know, I feel like they should be number one. I feel like it should be number one. They definitely set the tone, you know. They set the tone all the time. That number 9 collaboration I just dropped the other day was fucking fire, by the way. That number 9 collaboration that just dropped the other day was absolutely crazy. Dr. Martens collaboration was fucking crazy. Yeah, I think they should be number one. They don't deserve to be 3. Number 2, Kith. I feel like they're in bed with them. I feel like Complex are in bed with Kith. I feel like Ronnie Faig is like best friends with that fucking donut that presents Complex sneakers. The fucking, I don't know. I feel like they're friends. I feel that's why they got this placement. This is shocking. Kith number 2 brand. Come on, bro. They should be in the top 5. Don't get me wrong, for what they do in the year and how much work they put out there. But the output is a bit mediocre, isn't it? It's a little bit sterile. Like, even their product shots. Have you went on the Kith website? Even the way their products are shot is so like. There's no nothing. It's just a bit sterile, you know. Kith number 2. Come on. And who's number 1? Cortez. Really? Huh. Don't get me wrong. I really rate Clint. I think he's got one of the most underrated streetwear brands out there. But do I say it's the number 1 streetwear brand? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think it's a bit of a stretch, and I think this does him a disservice too. It's gonna make people. I mean, it's not really. It's gonna make people look at him a certain way. I think he should definitely. Should he be? I think should he be in the top 10? Yeah. In terms of the drops, like that drop he did this year. Was it this year? The drop he did at the New York train station that maybe Chanel might have copied with their show. That drop he did at the New York train station. The Nike collabs. Like, I don't think he's missed a single Nike collab. He might miss recently. Soon he might miss because he's dropping a fucking Nike Shock, which I hate shocks, by the way, right? But I don't think he's missed on a Nike collaboration ever. No retail stores, worldwide drops, queues all the time, sellouts all the time. He kind of, in my opinion, created this fucking aesthetic, right? I feel like there's like more than 5 brands in the UK that copy his aesthetic of lookbook shots, right? I think he's created a particular aesthetic that you can kind of just tell straight away that that's what he does. I feel like the clothes are really cool. The down jackets, the bolo jackets, amazing. Doesn't really do much collaboration. I don't think he's ever done a collaboration when it comes to outerwear. Everything's just stuff he does in-house. They sell a lot of shit. Yeah, I think they should definitely be in the top 10, but number 1 is insane. Number 1 is kind of insane, to be fair. They should be in the top 10, yes. Number 1's fucking insane. But this list is all insane anyway. The whole list is fucking insane. I'm not going to lie. What do they say about them? Standout moments: the Honey Black Air Max 95, the campaign appearances from legends like Ronaldinho and Skepta, massively successful pop-up series collaborating with peers like Denim Tears and Barriers, from takeovers of strip clubs in Atlanta to subway cars in New York City. Cortez put the streetwear world in a stranglehold this year. Over the past year, Clint's brand has grown well beyond London and continuously improving line products that keeps expanding beyond graphics and tees. Despite the expansion, it hasn't forgotten where it's come from either. Just look at the collabs with Skepta, BBK, Dave, or the cameras with Sloan and Central C. That's what, to be fair, I have to give them more. Like, I think for Palace, right, because they're white and shit, I think because Palace are white and they skate, you know, whatever, I think it was easier, in my opinion, for them to blow worldwide. Because people kind of looked at them as like the heir apparent to Supreme in a way. They haven't really lived up to that, you know, hype. They haven't lived up to that at all. Zero. I think they've kind of fallen short of it. But you have to give Cortez credit. They do make a good point about how they've taken it beyond London, because it's a very London-centric brand. The aesthetic is very London. Most of the models are from here. He talks in a particular, you know, in a certain way. He carries himself in a certain way. He's never really begging the American cosign. But it's a very international brand. That's kind of crazy when you think about it. Like, to be that London centric but also be that international, it's kind of crazy. But it's also taking upon, he's kind of learned from the Supreme playbook. The Supreme playbook early on was that they were inherently a very New York City brand, right? They're from New York. They represent skaters that are from, even the skaters, most of the team, you know, they're from New York, or they lived around New York and shit. but the people around the world fell in love with it, myself included. Fell in love with the store, fell in love with the skaters, the people that worked at the shop, the lookbooks, the whole world. You were kind of in love with it, and you went to kind of travel to it and kind of be engrossed with it. So I think Cortez has done a better job at doing that than Palace have. Weirdly enough, although Palace have their own world, it just hasn't resonated the same way. It felt omnipresent while maintaining a high, tight distribution model. Outside of its handful of incredibly thoughtful pop-ups throughout the calendar year, you can only buy Cortez from its web store. That type of scarcity still makes every piece feel like a must-have item. A big part of what made Cortez so popular is Clint's accessibility. He's constantly engaging with his fans on social media, whether he's holding contests for young designers, dropping in motivational gems, or clapping back at his critics. He pulls up every single pop-up, greets fans to be a part of his experience. In a day and age where brand owners stay out of the limelight, some even choosing to remain entirely anonymous, Cortez proves how valuable the extra layer of communication can be when building a community. I agree with that. I think it does him the favor, and it also serves him good and bad. I think the bad, obviously, is that he can come up. I don't think people are in the middle with Clint. I think you either like him or you hate him. So he could come across a little bit obtuse, a little bit obnoxious, a little bit egotistical, right? But you could also kind of see him and think, oh shit, it's kind of inspiring. This young kid built his brand up from his bedroom all the way into this being this like big mega brand and shit. I personally love what he's done recently. He's got this account, right? He's got this account called like London something. What's it called? I think it's called like London. That's the one. London Runs the World, right? I think this is his account where he posts like motivational gems and shit. I think this is a really good idea because I don't think his Twitter really gets across how he is, you know, personality wise. I think he comes across a little bit bad on there when he kind of goes back and forth. But I think this Instagram account where he posts a lot of like behind the scenes stuff and motivational clips of him talking about just in general creative stuff, I think is a really good idea. I'll play an actual clip actually. This is the one I saw recently of him talking about, how to stay motivated and all that malarkey.
Crazy for? How long are you willing to look crazy for? Here's the thing that nobody wants to tell you, yeah? You're either going to be uncomfortable building your legacy, building your future, or you're going to be uncomfortable living with the regret of not doing all of those things that it took to take it there. When you're obsessed, it needs to consume you. What's that bar? You wasn't with me shooting in the gym. That means after the lights are off, all the doors are closed, and it's only you there by yourself. That is what separates all the people who are winners and the people who ain't winners. How willing are you to take it there, to take yourself past that threshold? Because when you get past that threshold, working hard don't even feel painful anymore. It feels like this is just a Tuesday. This is a random day in the week. Are you willing to sacrifice those Friday nights when everyone's going out? All your friends are saying, yo, come to this motive, come to this party. Let's go out. Let's have fun. Let's have a drink. Cool. You can enjoy your life. That is fine. Nah, you can't. There's no balance on that journey of greatness. That is where it is. If you want balance, you better hope you were born rich. Everything great was created by someone who just took it there. They took it past the levels that everyone else just thought, this person's crazy. These are all the things that no one ever really tells you. And if you're currently in this state where you're obsessed, you're working late, you're doing everything you can to get better at your craft, you're constantly practicing, and you feel like you're missing out, I'm going to tell you now, it's all worth it. It's all going to be worth it. It's going to work out for you if you just take it there, because you have to take it there. Everyone's going to call you crazy. Everyone's going to say, yo, this guy's tapped. How long are you willing to look crazy for? How long are you willing to look crazy for?
You have to rate that kind of message, and again, you don't get that much. I think it doesn't really matter, right? You don't need to be vocal when you have a brand, but I think it is quite cool to see these guys who have these big brands who are able to be so accessible to their fans and customers and shit. I think of Tremaine Emery at Denim Tears does a good job of doing that. I think obviously Clint does a really good job of doing that. And who else does a good job of doing that on that list? Probably maybe some of the Hellstar guys, they talk a little bit in the comments. But what I really love about him as well is that he wears his own brand. You don't see many of these streetwear guys. I don't know if it's about being too cool or whatever, or maybe you don't want people to know, or you don't want people to maybe think that don't have many clothes. But a lot of these streetwear guys don't really wear their own brand, they kind of wear other stuff. It's really, I never understood that really. But I love that he is the biggest fan of his own clothes. In the same way that, Nigo was. Nigo back in the day of Bape, there was no one that wore Bape better than Nigo. There's no one that wears Rick Owens better than Rick Owens. So it's really cool when you see those designers wearing their things day in, day out, or designing stuff specifically for their needs. I remember an interview with Rick Owens, an iconic one, where he basically said he personally makes jackets in a way where the jacket can fit a sandwich and a book in the pockets, because he usually takes walks around Paris and stuff, you know, his daily walks, and he would like to have a sandwich and a book in his pocket so he can kind of eat and whatever needs to be and carry them around with him. And the funny thing is, I've seen accounts of people who've bumped into him in Paris saying that, yeah, that they've seen him walking around the streets of Paris wearing his jacket with a fucking sandwich and a book in it. So he kind of lived his raps. So it's kind of cool to see him wearing the stuff that he talks about, putting it in fucking action, testing it, working it, and then you obviously the final product the customers kind of get. And especially in this day and age where a lot of kids maybe see someone like Clint, right? They see the final product. They see somebody that's fairly young, someone that maybe looks like them, sounds like them, is from the area that they're at, and they might want the same things that he has. I always think it's really important and really nice when kids like this are able to tell the younger generation that, hey, I know I might look like the finished product now, but it took a lot of work to get here. And this is what it took to get here. This is the mindset I have. Sent, you know, kind of in a way setting them straight, give them a reality check, but also motivating them to let them know that, hey, this is also possible. I'm just a guy like you. I breathe the same way that you do. I bleed the same way that you do. I'm just willing to put in this amount of whatever, you know, and this is how I got there, to kind of motivate people to kind of do their own thing. And to be fair as well, the recent controversy he got into with people kind of trying to, you know, cancel him because he was rejecting Klarna. It's fucking insane if you think about it. I think it's quite financially responsible of him to tell his fucking customers that, hey, I'm never gonna have Klarna built into my site. If you want to buy my stuff, save up properly, get a job, get your money up and buy it. You know, there's no fucking payment system, payment plan, credit thing. That's not good. You want to kind of, you push people to kind of get, you know, basically be able to buy stuff outright. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I recently actually saw, I might react to that later in another episode, I recently saw a clip of some guy who's doing a lot of really cool commentary on streetwear stuff. So big up him. I forgot his name. Wish I remember his name. We had a lot of negative things to say about Clint. I think a lot of the stuff he said was very ill-informed. He was basically saying that Clint's Cortez is not a streetwear brand. It's not this, that. If anything, they're the antithesis. They're the dictionary definition of a streetwear brand. But for some reason he's not really a biggest fan of them. So there are some critics of what he does out there, but I do think he's doing a lot of good. I think the expansion's crazy. I think when they do eventually open up a retail store, it's going to be fucking nuts. I think everything they do in terms of music, in terms of culture, in terms of events, in terms of pop-ups and drops and stuff is really fucking cool. But I don't personally think they're the number one brand. I definitely put them in the top 5 for impact in 2025. Overall, definitely top 10 ever. No, ever, yeah, I probably put them top 10 ever, I'm not gonna lie. Especially even so young, it's kind of crazy. But should they be number 1 this year? Nah, not for me. Not for me. I think Supreme should always be number 1 unless they fumble the ball, and Cortez probably should have been number 2 in my personal opinion. But I think Palace have no business being in the top 10. So the list wasn't too bad. The list really wasn't too fucking bad. But big up all them guys, big up all them blood clot guys. Okie dokie. Last thing to end with, big up Ben Clock, big up fucking Ben Clock. Ben Clock posted this picture, hilarious picture by the way. Ben Clock featuring Harry Styles, Zoe Kravitz and a bunch of other people. Interesting. I think the people that go to Berghain a lot, the regulars aren't going to be too happy with this because they don't want to see celebrities at fucking Berghain. I personally love it, especially Harry Styles. I've said before, I'm a big Harry Styles defender. I bumped into him once very briefly at this club called Yellow Bar back in the day when I used to go there all the time. And he was so nice, like beyond nice, kind of bought me a fucking drink and shit. Oh no, sorry, we shared a shot, my bad. We shared a fucking Jägermeister, like little fucking shot, right? And he gave me some time, even though he was surrounded by the hoes, right? I was probably cop blocking him in that moment, but he literally gave me a couple of minutes of a conversation, which I thought was really nice. And and I just saw him from afar, how he dealt with people coming up to him very graciously. Just cool, just a cool dude. And everything I've heard about him in person is that he's a really fucking nice person as well. And he seems to be a guy that, you know, doesn't seem to do that badly when it comes to the ladies. And let's just say that he doesn't seem to do that badly. He seems to have he's pick of the litter. But I think, again, this is kind of cool to see, you know, that he lives a real life. They live a real life. You see a lot of pictures of them together, Harry Styles and Zoe Kravitz, just, you know, living a real life, trying to do things normally. He does, I think Harry Styles adheres to the David Beckham school of navigating the real world while you're a celebrity. I remember David Beckham once saying that although he's very well known, he travels most of the time by himself without security. and basically he's of the thinking, which I agree. If you act normal, they will act normal, you know. And I agree with him. I remember bumping into Graham Norton once in a Tesco, right, late at night. I think it was a Tesco in Bow. If you know, you know. The Tesco in Bow, it used to be open quite late. And it's a bigger one, sort of like Express is a bigger one. I remember bumping into the Tesco Express in Bow, and he was lovely, right? Super fucking nice. And he was just walking around normally, doing his fucking shopping. I think if you treat yourself normally, if you don't do the whole security and guys in fucking suits and shit, you're gonna be fine. No one's really gonna bother you. Even more so in a place like fucking Berghain, where people, I think, are a bit too cool for school anyway. I think even if people saw Harry Styles in Berghain, they'll try to act like they didn't. You know, people are a little bit too cool for school. They're kind of up their own ass. They've got their own little kind of ego. They're all kind of micro celebrities in their own little scene over there. So they're not gonna want to defer to him. You know, they're gonna want to act like, yeah, you're in our place now. So I think he probably would have been more than okay traversing around there, plus the ban on pictures anyway. No one's gonna be taking a picture. You're cool. This is if there's a safe place to be, if you're a celebrity, probably, you know, Berghain's probably one of them. No one's gonna fucking bother you. But it's just cool to see they live a regular life. I'm not gonna lie, I like seeing the celebrities or people that I like doing the things that I also do, because it means that they are somewhat normal, you know. And the reason why I like, and then it can kind of make me think, oh, there's a reason why I like them, you know. They kind of got similar interests, similar sensibility. So great to fucking see. It'll be incredible, right? It'll be fucking incredible if somehow this experience and maybe other experiences that he's had, maybe at Basement, might influence Harry Styles' music. Could you imagine if Harry Styles' music somehow shifts and he starts making electronic music? Imagine if he starts making electronic music. Imagine if he starts DJing, for fuck's sake. If he starts DJing, bro, like John Summit, hang it out, bro. John Summit, you might as well start retiring. John Summit, retire. Mal P, retire. Moshak, fucking hang up your fucking headphones. You're no longer the fucking heartthrobs of the scene. You're out. Harry Styles taking all your bitches. Styles taking all your bitches. I think that's also Fadi Moham there. I don't really know the other people. So that's Zoe Kravitz there at the end. You got Ben Clock there, one of the Berghain residents and legendary Berlin DJ in general. Harry Styles there with a hat on, and Fadi Moham, another Berghain resident. I don't know the other people though. By the way, big up this thing as well. Have you guys noticed this trend nowadays? I don't know if this is new. Have you guys noticed this trend of not tagging people in pictures in Instagram? What's up with that? What's up with people not tagging their friends in pictures? What's up with people not tagging their friends in pictures? Like, I thought that's what made Instagram fun. But I guess now everyone wants to be a little bit, you know, you want to be, I guess you don't want to act too fanned out, right? You don't want to be tagging him and putting hashtag, but whatever. But I do find it interesting how no one's tagged in this picture. No, in either picture, by the way. No one's tagged. No tags whatsoever. No fucking taggers. Maybe the picture speaks for itself, which is a little bit, you know, all right, take a breather, wind your neck in. But I wonder what's happening with people not putting up tags anymore. No more tags. But yeah, interesting sneaker choice, by the way. But I'm looking at the trainer choices, right? Aren't those are either Luebe's, Marget, I don't know which one they are, but they're definitely some, I've got the brand, but some brand makes these, right? These real thin fucking, you know, Marget also makes a style, these kind of really thin running type shoe things. Interesting choice. I wouldn't personally pick them. I think my feet will be busted up, but again, Harry Styles is the type of person that wears penny loafers all day, walking around New York. Penny loafers with no socks all the way around. So I think he's just built different. And Zoe Kravitz is wearing, it looks like Nike Cortez, a Cortez style of a shoe, looks like she's wearing there. But interesting choice by Harry Styles to wear the very, very thin soled shoes like that to a place like Berghain. Usually I'm always wearing boots and shit and, you know, Air Force Ones or something with a bit more of a sole, maybe a Rick Owens boot or something a bit more substantial. But that's an interesting shoe choice. Very, very interesting shoe choice. Either way, big up Harry Styles. I'm glad I've been a fan from the beginning, because it shows, you know, later on, because I was a fan of Harry Styles when he was in fucking One Direction, and now look at him. Now many years later, he's into the same shit that I'm into. I fucking love it. Big up. Oh, is it Drees? Okay, it's Drees. Big up Victor Blue. It's Dreams Van Noten. There's like bare brands. So Luebe's got, I feel like Luebe's got one. Margiela's got one. Who else has got one? Prada's got one. There's like 3 of these, isn't it? Let's see. There's like, so it's Drees. Let's say Drees Van Noten sneaker. Drees. Van Noten sneakers. Oh, they're four. Is that it? They're $4.25. Decent, isn't it? I didn't know they were that cheap. Fair play. Let's see. Are they? Let's see if that's true. UK. Let's continue. Shoes. What do they have here? Men. What are we looking at here? Shoes. Yeah. Wow, they're only $4.25. That's pretty decent because the Prada sneakers are like 700, right? The Prada sneakers, the foldable ones, they're like £700, $720 now. Oh my god, they put 20 quid on top of them. Fucking hell. Where are they? Where are they? Show me them. View all. Hold on, let's do men. Yeah, where are they? Let's show me that sneaker. I want to see it. That one here. That's it, the nylon one. $720. $720, you know, for this shit. This fucking thin shit. $720. This is daylight robbery, mate. Absolute daylight robbery. $720. Fucking hell. $720. Yo, they're robbing the fashion youths, man. They're fucking robbing them. I swear to God, they're robbing. $720 is fucking crazy. So you got them, you got those. What's that? So you got them, Dries Van Noten, and the other one is what they called. They're by Margiela, right? Margiela sneakers. Let's see. Margiela sneakers. They're the ones, yeah, they're the ones that what's his face wears. What's his face? Yeah, let's see this one, right, in Dover Street. They're 700 too. Fucking hell. 700. Fair play, man. That's how you know you're Harry Styles, isn't it? You're wearing $700 or $400 crepes. Not too bad. 400 is pretty decent. 400 for these shoes isn't too shabby. I'm not gonna lie. 400 for these shoes isn't shabby. From Dries Van Noten, or you got 720 from Prada, or 720 from Margiela. This is the new trend. Sprinters, Margiela sprinters, Prada collapsible, and Dries Van Noten nylon sneakers. Yeah, but big up fucking what's his fucking face? Big up Harry Styles. Big up Harry Styles, big up Blood Clot Harry Styles, and big up Ben Clock too for inviting him down there, innit? Inviting his friend to fucking Berghain and getting all the Berghain people upset and shit. Nice to see, nice to see. He's playing at Glitch Festival 2 coming up soon. The lineup: Adrian Mills, Cloudy, Alerico, Emily Lenz, Ben Clock, back to back of Rodhad. Nice to see. Ignes, Josie, Kiki, Morgrab. Nice. But big up Ben Clock, big up Ben Clock, big up Ben Clock, big up Blood Clot Ben Clock. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that has been the Axel Zinger Show, episode number 982. Thanks so much for tuning in. Been a pleasure to have your company. If it's your first time tuning into the show, please like the stream, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Leave me a 5-star review if you can. I'm going to be switching over to the random show. So if you're here watching from YouTube, then just stay here and it'll redirect you over to the random show. You don't need to move or anything. If you're here, don't move. It'll redirect you automatically to the random show. I'll be starting that in about 5 to 10 minutes. So please don't leave if you can. And everybody else, appreciate you. I'll see you guys again tomorrow for another episode of the Axel Zinger Show. But for now, thanks for tuning in. Been a pleasure to have your company. As per usual, you know how it is. We're always here, shining, never winning, never losing. Pray for me tomorrow. Hopefully my arm improves condition wise and I'm better and stronger. And I'll see the rest of you guys again very soon. Those of you listening via the audio side of the pod, the tune of the day will be from Primal Scream. The tune is Damage. That's my song of the day. For those of you listening via the audio side of the pod, the tune is Primal Scream Damage. That's my tune of the day. Everybody else, I'll see you again in the random show starting about 5 to 10 minutes. But for now, take care. Be well, everybody. Be well. Be safe. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you very, very soon. Peace.